Hold on, Phil.
There you go. There you go. Fight doctor.
Right.
All right. We live. Ain't no place like low place. We got a full panel. We've been wasting a lot of time talking about this off air, and it was too good. It was too it was a good collective of thoughts. It was calm. It wasn't jumping over each other. And we want to bring this to whoever want to listen to it. I'm enjoying it. I'm not even speaking much, and I'm enjoying it because it's just a good conversation and everybody's sharing their point. I'm going to moderate. The person who started this argument is the person who's going to start it here today with respect to the argument. So, Fight Doctor, go ahead and chime in.
So McGregor was correct in his assessment of how pound for pound came to be. It was created essentially for Sugar Ray Robinson, and a couple of interesting little known facts about Sugar Ray Robinson is first that he actually turned professional as a lightweight, and second is that Sugar Ray Robinson is actually not his real name. And another interesting fact about Sugar Ray Robinson is that he was so good as a welterweight that the top guys at 147 refused to fight him. So in order for him to get fights, he had to fight middleweights as a welterweight. And I think that speaks volumes to how good he was, that he was able to compete at middleweight, favorably at middleweight as a welterweight, and then move up to middleweight and make history, winning the middleweight title, I think it was 6 times. So pound for pound was created as a way to compare Sugar Ray Robinson against fighters in other divisions and assess how good he would fare if he were the same size as some of these other fighters, and it was determined that he would beat these guys if he were their size. So that's how pound for pound.
Right.
So are you arguing that it's a misconception of our pound for pound argument because it's not we're not arguing what they invented it to be, or because you went away from what we were discussing. So I'm just trying to see where you're coming from.
Well, no, I just wanted to pay some respect to Sugar Ray Robinson because he's actually one of my favorite fighters, and that it should be properly understood like how powerful. Listen, Sugar Ray Robinson was so good that they invented pound for pound for him. Okay, right. and that his legacy.
Hold on, Phil. Let him finish.
No. I'm not trying to jump in. My question is just right here because McGregor mentioned earlier. He said that moving up in weight does not have anything to do with it. But you just
no, I didn't. I said it didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't say it doesn't.
Let's get on that. Let's get on that when it comes to y'all. We'll come to y'all at the unbiased. So unbiased was the rebuttal, and I want everybody to know. What started this is Terrence Crawford's undisputed, or even the career. Some people were arguing full career, Usyk versus Terrence Crawford, full career, championship level. You know what I'm saying? First winning belt, that kind of level. The talk was great. So I'm sure Unbiased is going to get back on that. I think I am. So Unbiased, go ahead and have your say. Unbiased on the line? Unbiased.
He's in rotation.
Yeah.
There we go.
Look, this is my thing. Everybody knows that I'm a Crawford fan. You know what I'm saying? But I got to be 1,000 here in my assessment. Like I said when we were offline, I'm going to say it again. I would personally would much rather had Terrence Crawford fight somebody that was on the same level as a Murat Gassiev than a Henry Lundy, Derry Jean, Thomas Delorme, or Beltran, Ricky Burns, or Felix Diaz, guys like that. And to me, I think that Usyk's undisputed run is a little more respectable than the guys that Terrence Crawford beat at 140. And that's just my opinion. And it's tough to compare the two because Terrence Crawford's body of work is much larger than Usyk, but Usyk's quality of opponent is much better, in my opinion, than Terrence Crawford's.
Phil?
Okay. I don't completely disagree with what Unbiased said. Okay. So this is my deal right here. All right. In the manner in which Usyk did it, yes, it was awesome. He became undisputed and he competed against the top level guys in his division, and it wasn't no contract negotiations involved. It wasn't if that stuff involved. The best fought the best. So in a sense, yeah, you can say that Usyk fought the top guys which the manner that he got undisputed was awesome. But then now you go over to Terrence Crawford and you say, and I mean, to me, how can you penalize somebody, okay, for fighting the next best guy based on belts in your division and becoming undisputed? Now, do I think 140 was as stacked as you can say a tournament in cruiserweight? No, of course not. The level of competition in 140 was decent, but Terrence Crawford was by far the best guy in that division at that particular time, and we all knew that. You know, so if you're going to judge undisputed, then of course you have to get it to Usyk all day long. But if you're going to talk about body of work and the accomplishments that Terrence Crawford has achieved, then you have to go with Crawford all day. Based on your philosophy, Unbiased, you're saying that Usyk is above Terrence Crawford on the pound for pound list, as you mentioned offline, which I would have to completely disagree with you about that. But we'll let the chat come on, and then when we come back around full circle, I'll reiterate more on that. I just don't want to spend too much time on that right there.
Is it fair to Usyk, to whoever's next? I guess I asked the question to I guess we go McGregor. Mm-hmm. And you can touch on your own points after the question. I don't want to just make it about what I have to ask. So is it fair to Usyk that he doesn't have, because Crawford went up 5 pounds each division, right? 35, 40. Well, the ones we're talking about, 35, 40, and then 47, 7 pounds. Okay. Is it fair to Usyk, seeing that he can't go to a 190, 195 to talk about the full body of work, or is that just, you see what I mean there?
I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, people also need to take into account that rehydration clauses in cruiserweight division, most of the divisions don't let you go above 220 pounds. But when he was fighting against Glavatsky for his first world title fight, Glavatsky, the next day weigh-in, had rehydrated to 220 pounds, and Usyk was fighting 11 pounds below him. I've never seen Crawford in the ring against a guy who was 11 pounds heavier. And that's a point that doesn't get brought up. But I think the body of work argument is, I think it's a little bit difficult to compare them, considering one guy's career has been so much longer. So you kind of need to compare them in terms of what they've achieved. Now, Crawford is I believe, a 3-weight world champion, correct? Or is he 4?
3.
He's a 3-weight world champion. In 2 of those weight divisions, he's lineal. He's become lineal, and at minimum, if you don't want to acknowledge the possible lineage of 147, and he's become undisputed. He did all of that in his own backyard, pretty much, and Usyk did it all on the road. He went to everybody else's ground, and he took the belt. He took the belt out of Poland. He destroyed Marco Huck in Berlin. He destroyed Gassiev in, what's the name of that place? Moscow in Russia, in his backyard. And that's a very bad place for Ukrainians to go, is Russia. And on top of which, he destroyed, but he beat Maris Bradis in Latvia, Riga. And if anybody remembers watching that fight, every punch Bradis threw was sheared to deafening sounds. And it was unbelievable. But, is it okay if we just go on to one thing really quick? Because Fight Doctor mentioned Sugar Ray Robinson. I really want to talk about Sugar Ray Robinson and some points real quick, if that's all right, Lo.
Go ahead.
Okay, so he mentioned that was not his real name. That's correct. His real name was Walker Smith Jr. And when he was a young boy in the amateur circuit, one day he went in. He was supposed to have a fight, and he wasn't allowed to compete because he was too young for the competition. However, a guy the same day had decided not to fight, and his name was Ray Robinson. And they put him down as this guy who was meant to be fighting, Ray Robinson, and they put Walker Smith Jr. down as Ray Robinson. And somebody came up after he had won his fights on this day, and they said he was sweet as sugar. And thus, he became Sugar Ray Robinson. Now, on top of which, in the beginning of his career, he went undefeated for his first 125 fights as an amateur and pro combined. He went unbeaten 85-0 as an amateur, and then he went 40-0 as a professional before losing. So that was 125 fights. And it wasn't for another 81 fights in a row afterwards until he lost again in his 132nd professional fight. So when people talk about him as pound for pound, you can probably understand why. The guy lost twice in, 212 fights at that point, and he only ever got stopped once, and that was through heat exhaustion to Joey Maxim. So he was never actually knocked out. It was heat stroke. But yeah, that's just one other thing a couple of other things that I wanted to bring up that fight doctor mentioned, but didn't fully elaborate on.
To also credit Usyk, he came to America for Michael Hunter, American. He also went to the UK for Londoner. I think not Londoner.
No, he went to Manchester to fight Liverpool's Tony Bellew, and Manchester is 25 miles away from Liverpool.
Correct.
I have a question though, just real quick.
Go ahead. You could just touch on your own points. Go ahead.
I just want to touch on that. Now, I'm not going to take away because I don't believe in taking away from somebody going and fight somebody's backyard. Right? That's a massive accomplishment to be dominant in somebody else's backyard. But to me, it would mean a lot more if he wasn't the favorite in each one of those fights. He was predicted to win by pretty much almost everybody. So for him to go there and do exactly what people expect him to do, I mean, it's just not. It doesn't serve as a talking point of emphasis for me personally.
Yeah,
but I mean, the guy.
I'll argue
was impressive.
I'll argue he wasn't favorite according to the bookmakers from Aris Breedis. They were even, and also against Glavatsky. Glavatsky was slight favorite over Usyk going into that fight, according to the bookies.
I would have to see that though. I can't just take your word for it. And if that's the case, then that's fine. But I would have to literally see it too.
Yeah, but Crawford has never not been the favorite. So.
Okay, but there's a point.
Hold on. Let's get people in here who ain't went. Let's get people who ain't went. Like Battle ain't been. Battle jump in.
I remember like one of the very first touches we stepped on was I think T. White was just saying he was just unimpressed with the cruiserweight division, and then we got in an argument of whether the cruiser division was liable or not for Usyk to be mentioned in the conversation with Terence Crawford as far as the best pound for pound fighters or the best undisputed reign at whoever weights was what. So I was trying to tell him that the competition was the so-called one of the best competition he could have faced at Undisputed. So this was my original thing. My original thing is when it comes to I'm just going to address Phil's point, not to go all over the place. Phil was trying to say that when you're the favorite in each fight, you're going to say that it's not all that big of a deal when he going to these people's backyard. My thing is when you're so good of a fighter to where you're the favorite to win in each fight, where you can move from state to state. That's an amazing accomplishment. That just means you're such an overachiever that none of the fighters can even step up to you in the plate as far as skills or popularity. That's speaking volume, and that's the problem as humans that we have about ourselves, where we can't see a fighter as great unless he overcomes. We can't see a fighter as great until he overcomes adversity. Why do people love Evander Holyfield so much? Because he can overcome adversity in so many different fights. In so many fights, it would seem like Holyfield is winning until he gets caught one time, and then he's hurt, and then the person just he's back on him. Holyfield is hurt, and then what happens? Holyfield regains his consciousness and knock the guy out. That's why people love Evander Holyfield so much, and that's the problem with Usyk and Crawford. A lot of people just aren't seeing. They see him beating a whole bunch of fighters, and they're doing it in such an impressive fashion that they never seen him in a really life or death fight where they can actually say this guy pulled something out of his like his head and said, "I'm going to win this fight, and I'm not." Backing down from nobody like Andre Ward did against Sergey Kovalev, and that's a problem. So go ahead,
Mr. Doc. Then we go to Beats.
Nah, Beats go.
All right, Beats, you on?
Yeah, man. What's the question?
So we basically been asking better. Some have said better career, Crawford or Usyk. Better undisputed run, Crawford or Usyk. Better pound for pound, Crawford or Usyk. Better competition, 140 or cruiserweight when they were there. It's basically been a plethora of things.
I'd say I'm tempted to go for Usyk, really. I think the tournament structure is in his favor. See, the thing is, I did tell everybody that Crawford fighting for undisputed against Ndondo is not going to get you the satisfaction that you crave. I did say that, and it didn't. It really hasn't. You know, he's getting shot out by the PVC. He still hasn't had a career-defining fight. Usyk, he seems to have springboarded from his fights, man. Even like from Michael Hunter, even that win's looking good now. We see Michael Hunter knock out heavyweights, right? Then Gassiev was undefeated. Gassiev looked really good against the Cuban, and then the pay-per-view fight against Bellew, another good springboard. And now he's onto, Povetkin apparently. So like his undisputed reign has actually gone somewhere. With Crawford, I'm not saying it ain't gone nowhere, but Jeff Horn is one of his best wins still, and it's not ideal. It's not ideal, and I don't blame Bob Arum, but I always said Bob Arum is never batting for this guy. And when I was saying it, they were saying I was hating on American fighters when I was saying it, but I knew what I was saying.
Hey, beat. Some people say Gamboa is his best win.
That's not good, then, is it?
That was another debate. Hold on. That was another debate. I'm glad you said that. I'm biased. We were looking at people were saying, well, Fight Doctor, it's your turn anyways. You were claiming Gamboa is better than basically everybody because you said he was a 3-division champion.
He also said Gamboa has a better resume than Usyk. Okay,
Fight Doctor, you want to touch on that? We all for it.
Listen, at the end of the day, Gamboa more proven, 3-division champion. Look, undefeated when Crawford beat him. And then another issue that hasn't been touched on is the fact that Crawford moved up to 140 to dominate the division and become undisputed. Okay, and I think that carries some weight. The fact that you move up in weight.
Hold on 1 second, but Fight Doctor, I will say that McGregor mentioned that he fought Bradis at a 12-pound deficit or something of that nature.
It was Glavatsky, and he was 11 pounds lighter on the night.
Yeah, so go ahead, keep going.
Okay, but at the end of the day,
I'm not trying to be I'm being impartial here. I only said that because the cruiserweights can't really go down 5 pounds, 3 pounds, and they really got to make a real step. You know what I mean? So go ahead.
But at the end of the day, if there was a weight differential, I think it goes to there's something to be said of total percentage of weight, the difference there. And the simple fact of the matter is these guys made the same weight. They were both cruiserweights.
Explain.
All right? Both. Wait. Hold on a second. I didn't interrupt.
Let them finish, and then you can direct a question at them.
All right. At the end of the day, both of the guys were cruiserweights. All right, natural cruiserweights. Whereas there's something to be said when you move up in weight and you dominate the division above the division where you are, which is exactly what Crawford has done. Okay, moved up from 135 to 140, dominated the 140-pound division. Okay, and above and beyond that, if Usyk's body of work is so great, why isn't I can't find a credible pound-for-pound list that rates him ahead of Terence Crawford? Why? I just don't see it. Okay, I haven't seen that, and I've been looking.
I'm biased.
I'm just waiting for him to explain how Gamboa has a better resume than Usyk. I really want to hear.
Just break it down how he don't. Break it down to us how he don't, and we'll go down the line and he'll get back to it. Because if we scream over each other, I'll
break it.
Go ahead, Battle. Go
All
ahead.
right. Well, he could.
Okay,
He
Hey,
so-
listen, above and beyond that, I think he needs to explain how Usyk has a better resume than Terence Crawford, which he has not done. Who has
Okay,
Usyk
well
beaten?
we can do that.
All
Okay,
right, well,
let's
hold
go
on.
there.
What I do is it's a 2-part question. Does anybody here feel that Usyk has a better resume than Terence Crawford? Who feels that way?
I don't.
Just a yes or no of who does and who don't.
I think he has better quality wins. I'll say that much.
All right, Beats. What about you, Beats?
I'll say yes for now, but I want to explain why.
We'll go battle. Do you believe that? Okay, we're gonna let Beats take one part of the question, and then the other part of the question is how does Gamboa have a better resume than Usyk? And we'll let Unbiased take that. Unbiased, you want to take that one? Because he directed it.
I can't answer that. I asked the fight.
That was, I think it was Fight Doctor.
I'll answer.
Okay, all right. Doc ain't jumped in. A battle of Doc was coming to y'all next. So one of y'all take it, and then we'll go to Beats. On but Beats, remember the question, Beats, because I got a lot going on here. Beats, so remember.
I've got
all right. So battle or Fight Doctor, take the question of how Usyk doesn't have a better resume than Gamboa.
All right, listen. At the end of the day, Gamboa has the win over Orlando Salido. Gamboa has won titles in 3 divisions. Okay, he's won titles in 3 divisions. Salido has the wins over Lopez and Lomachenko, who currently is number 1 on some people's pound for pound list. Okay? So look, so again, Gamboa, champion in 3 divisions. Okay, he does have the win over Salido. All right, a Salido who's been underrated because Salido does have the wins over Lomachenko and Lopez. So my question is, what in the hell has Usyk ever done in his career? Who has he beaten? What has he done? Has he won titles? Has he won titles in multiple divisions?
So
what has he done?
Anybody that feels that I'm biased, you obviously feel different about that. So I'm gonna let you go, and then I'll go to Beat.
Did you want me to answer the question of whether his resume was better or whether Gamboa is the best win? He has a better win than anybody on.
No, is Gamboa's resume better than Usyk to you?
Hold on. But, hey, just chime in. I'm not gonna. I agree with that to a sense. What Fight Doctor just said, but I can't discredit what Usyk has done in this division. Just want to put that out there.
So battle. Who got the better resume, Usyk, Gamboa, based on what he just said?
No. I think he originally said that Gamboa was a better win than anybody on Usyk's resume.
He said Usyk he said Gamboa had a better resume. Am I correct, Fight Doctor?
Ask him.
Yeah, am I correct, Fight Doctor? Gamboa has a better resume than Usyk, yes or no?
So look, I'm going to be completely honest.
Just tell me because I want to make sure we got you. Does Gamboa have a better resume than Usyk? Yes or no?
I think an argument can be made. Yeah, I think an argument can be made.
All right, well, you made that argument, so I'm gonna let Battle tell me how that argument is wrong. If he believes, do you believe he's wrong? First of all, Battle, do you believe he's wrong?
Yes, because quite simply, when you look at his wins as far as who he won the title from, they were good fighters. But as far as who they beat beforehand, you can't name a fighter for each one of them. You can name one for Orlando. You can name one for Orlando Salido. He beat Lomachenko. You can name one for Lopez.
Actually, he beat Lopez and he beat Lomachenko.
Who did Lopez?
Okay,
let him finish.
Hold on.
That's fine.
This is funny. This is funny.
Then we go to McGregor.
Let me rebuttal that.
And I haven't got Mr. Doc in
so
here at all. So what I'm gonna do? Time out. What I'm gonna do is let you finish, and then I'm gonna go to Beats, and then I haven't got Doc in at all. Then we go to Doc, and that's it. And then we go.
You skipped over
okay. So if I'm let me rebuttal that. So if you're going off he's going off his best wins. He said he has Orlando Salido, and then you have Lopez. Okay, so that's fine. When you look at Usyk's best wins, you can say pretty much all of them who he fought in the tournament had better wins, because when you look at Gowaki, he beat Huck, who was reigning 10 title defenses when he beat him and knocked him out.
All right, they fell off. They'll be right back on, so I'll let them finish up as he come on.
Let McGregor jump in there.
Hold on, he gonna come right back on. I want to let him finish his point. I know where he was at. So
Yeah,
I know where he's going to. I know exactly where he's
so
going.
he's basically
Well,
saying,
hold on, we haven't got Mr. Doc though. Everybody spoke.
we going to battle. Well, if battle don't come back, well, battle's back. No, when battle back in, we going to beats. I got it wrote down. It's battle, beats, Doc, McGregor, Phil, unbiased, fight doctor, and then it's basically unless somebody
Rotation.
direct. Battle taking a long time once again because he got that other tab up, but he'll be come on back in, Battle. I'm trying to hold your spot for you, but if not, we're gonna have to move on to beats. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and go into beats, and if Battle come back in, we'll stop at him. And beats, remember your question, right?
Yeah. Well, all right. So here's why Usyk has the better resume. See, boxing is
better resume than who though? Beats Crawford, right?
Yeah, better than Crawford.
All right.
Boxing is like basically it's your window maintenance, yeah. Like it's what you do inside certain windows. So if you box for 15 years, let's give you 3 to 4 windows. You can break it up how you want to break it up. Now, when you look at guys like Wilder and Golovkin, they get critiqued because they've been boxing for 10 plus years, and people say that the names aren't there that are supposed to be there for some of the hype they're getting. And Crawford has been boxing since 2008. By the time Usyk turned pro in 2013, Crawford had about 14 fights. Usyk had already dominated the division within 15 fights. And he's moved on to heavy. Crawford is still looking for his defining fight. No one's really saying that Usyk needs a defining fight. He's fighting Povetkin's really good opponents. And I would argue people like Gassiev, who beat Lebedev and stuff like that, and Brady, who was undefeated, had good wins against Perez.
How much did you get before I got off?
I got where you're at. We're gonna come right back to you. We got to you saying that Huck had lost 10, had 10 defenses and Glowacki beat him. We coming right back to you at the beats.
Yeah. Okay. So for what he's packed it in, right? In what a 5-year window? As like this is Crawford's 11th year window as a pro. You know what I'm saying? So the achievement level, so by the time Usyk's on to 20, 25 fights, what is he gonna have there? He's gonna be fighting for undisputed world championships. And even if he doesn't win it, that's gonna be like legacy building stuff. Like the Povetkin's only lost twice to two dominant champions. You know, that's a great step up. Like I said, the Michael fight is getting elevated right now. Who knows?
But wait a minute. Hold on,
Usyk let him finish. Fight doctor. Let him finish.
I finished my point. I didn't interrupt you.
Go ahead, Beats.
All right. Who knows if the Gassiev fight, like if Gassiev is going to come back and maybe become a factor at cruiser and heavyweight himself, you know, or Brady's. So, you know, he's signed onto the app. He's got 4 belts. He still has the 4 belt. I mean, Crawford, right? He didn't even defend like them titles, or he didn't even. And I'm not saying Usyk has. He didn't even defend them. Within weeks, the belt was gone, and like he didn't even contest it.
Usyk did defend Tony once. That's it.
That's the major point is the time frame it took Usyk to do it, and he broke the record. He broke the cruiserweight record to do it as well.
So, B, you agree with what I said?
Here. You want me to finish my point, please?
I got you. I'm coming to you. I got you. Like I said off the air, I'm just gonna put a point out there. I said the Drake lyric that I brought up. It said "fuck you" and your time difference, and I believe Beats kind of just he said that and more. But Battle, go ahead. You was where you were talking about the 10 defenses of Huck and Glowacki defeating him, and Usyk then defeating Glowacki. Go ahead, and then after that is Doc.
Here, I'm gonna make it fast. Okay, you say Gamboa has better wins over Usyk. Okay, best wins Atlanta, Toledo, and Lopez. Fine, go ahead. Okay, so you go ahead. Usyk. He
didn't beat one man Lopez. He did not beat man.
Okay. He beat Orlando Toledo and he beat Orlando Toledo and he beat let's just go with Victor Barrios. I don't know. So that's okay. That's fine. When you look at Usyk's best wins, you can say that all of them had really good wins coming into the fight with Usyk. Okay, let's go down the line. Let's look at Glowacki. Glowacki had beat Huck, who was on 10 title defenses before he beat him. And he was a power puncher where he went into the fight. He was winning the fight, knocked down Gawaki, got up, beat him, stopped him. Okay, fine. Let's say you're not impressed by that. Let's look at Marat Gassiev. Marat Gassiev was a guy who I didn't think was going to win the tournament. I thought he was going to use a dirty course. He was beat Lebedev at the first part of his career, but Lebedev was kind of old. So I was like, okay, fine. I don't think he can. I think he's good, but I don't think he can beat Junior Dorticos. End up stopping Junior Dorticos when Dorticos was winning the fight. Okay, fine. Let's say you're not impressed by that. Let's say you want to go over to Maris Breedis. I don't weight Manuel Char that high. I think he's a journeyman. But let's look at his best win. He has a win over Duradula, who before going into that fight beat Kudryashov, who was knocking out everybody up to his certain point where Duradula knocked him out. Okay, fine. Duradula, let's say, who did Duradula beat? Duradula had beat Kudryashov. Kudryashov went back, beat Duradula. Junior Dorticos goes into the ring and stops him. Okay, fine. Let's say you don't look at him that high. Let's look at Tony Bellew. Tony Bellew doesn't have a great reign at cruiserweight, but he beat Makabu. And Makabu, again, was knocking his opponents out before he went to Tony Bellew. Those are better wins than Gamboa. Go ahead.
All right, and I think coming into that fight, Huck was on like 13 consecutive defenses in his second title run. I think it may have been his first title run. Oh, it may have been his second. I know he was coming on 12 or 13 defenses to be exact.
I think it was his second.
Nearly as exact as possible.
Can I jump in here, please?
Hold on, Fight Doc. We got to go to Mr. Doc. We ain't got to him. It's Mr. Doc. It's McGregor.
Can you let him rebuttal first? Because I have a slightly different point.
All right, go then. All right, we'll proceed and go there.
Kind of a change of subject. Not quite. You know what I mean?
I got you. Go ahead.
Right, so we need to go back to the conversation we had the other day about paper titles. Listen, guys defending paper titles against undescript competition means nothing. The WBA, the WBC, the IBF, them joints are Johnny come lately where the overall history of boxing is concerned. So when you guys talk about, this guy has XYZ number of title defenses, defending a paper title against setup tomato cans, that means nothing. I'm not impressed. I'm sorry, but no, it doesn't mean anything. So XYZ title, listen, unless you are the linear champion in your division, your title is meaningless, meaning you don't have title defenses.
Agree. But question to you is, you took the position of bigging up Gamboa. So what defenses of his are better than the defenses that you're taking down?
We need to look at overall quality of opposition. Now, let's talk about the guys that Usyk has beaten up on. He's been beating up on guys who have been essentially in their backyards, beating up on undescript, overmatched opposition. That is who Usyk has been making his name off of. He hasn't beaten anyone. Okay, he hasn't. He's beating nobody.
You feel that Dorticos and hold on. Let me ask you. You feel that Dorticos and Gassiev was a nobody opponent?
We're talking about guys who probably have never ventured outside of their backyard. So beating up on tomato cans and setups, padding their records just so they can get a money fight.
Well, Gassiev is started in the U.S.
Ty, I got something for you. So if I were to say prove it, who is he beat? Because there's a lot of people that pass the eye test, but they don't beat anybody. So who is Gamboa beat? And if you compare them people on who he beat, who did they beat? You're gonna say you name Orlando Salido with Lomachenko. Who else did he beat?
Well, he has the Solis wins, and he has the Ponce de Leon win. Okay.
Who did they beat?
Now listen. Look, I'm not particularly high on Yuriorkis Gamboa. I'm not. All right. The simple fact is
hold on, Fight Doc. I gotta ask you, but you are comparing him to an undisputed champion, though. You say you're not high.
Wait. Undisputed means nothing. You become undisputed when you become lineal. Okay.
He is the lineal champion.
Okay, and I agree. However, WBC, WBA, IBF, them titles mean nothing.
What?
They mean nothing. They don't have any meaning. Listen, let me ask you a question. We talked about this the other night. We talked about this the other day.
The argument to kind of close up, because Doc said he's gonna go to a different place. So to kind of close up, I gotta ask you, who is it that Usyk has beat that you do respect, or is it nobody there?
Honestly, I mean, listen, his last fight, he is going essentially. He's fighting on even terms with an old shop-worn Tony Bellew. I'm sorry, but I'm not impressed.
What is
I'm just not impressed.
What is his best?
But I named 3 fighters that wouldn't. I already said Bellew's best win at cruiserweight is probably Makabu. So I told you.
Okay, but Usyk has made his name fighting guys who have who've not done anything. He's made his name fighting guys who've been basically fighting in their backyard.
Hold on. Since I'm by it, but we're going in a different direction when Doc asked the question. So I'm just gonna ask the panel and the chat too, and not to put nobody down here. So we
let McGregor didn't even get in here. Let McGregor jump in.
It's Doc and then McGregor, then Phil and unbiased. That's the line.
Yeah, but Mr. Doc's gonna
just to let you know, what I'm going to get into is the whole weightlessness versus the tournament structure, kind of like we were talking about off air.
I'm sure if that argument don't last long, I'm sure we'll go somewhere else. So we just gonna ask, so we can get Doc in here. We gonna ask who agrees with Fight Doctor that gamble in the chat, and we're gonna ask just yes or no's through the panel.
Well, let McGregor get his points off, and then let
McGregor. You wanted to touch on this.
I really wanted to, as soon as he said that Salido had the win over Lomachenko.
Well, go ahead.
Everybody probably knows where I'm going with this.
Make a point to that, and we'll go to Doc. Make a point to that, and we'll go to Doc.
I'll just make a very quick point. Give me 1 second.
Go ahead. Go on and get your time out. Just go wherever you're going.
Okay, so when he said that Salido has the win over Lomachenko, and Lomachenko is in a lot of people's pound for pounds list, yeah, he's correct. He does have a win over Lomachenko, and that was like saying that if somebody has a win over Salido, because he compared the guy beating Salido, right? If someone has a win over Salido, they could be in this conversation as better than Usyk. So I'm just going to say Miguel Roman could be better than Usyk off of that argument.
Yep.
Roman Martinez could be better than Usyk according to that argument.
Yep.
Like you said, Yuriarki Gamboa could be better than Usyk according to that.
Daniel Rodriguez.
Cristobal Cruz could be better because of that argument. Alejandro Gonzalez could be better.
I think McGregor came in laying wood. He got the chat laughing, and
Ken Norton is the best heavyweight because he beat Ali. Ken Norton is the best.
So let's go here. We're gonna ask the chat and the people.
Not a good argument.
Quick yes or no.
Yo, I'm just gonna say one thing. According to that, Turpin could be the greatest pound for pound fighter of all time because he beat Sugar Ray Robinson.
All right, there it is. So we're gonna ask the chat.
Okay, so then, all right. So listen, I would acknowledge that.
Right, Doctor. Everybody got their points out. We're gonna let Mr. Doc change the direction. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna ask the chat if y'all agree, Gamboa or Usyk. Type the name you agree with, and then I'm gonna go down the line as I see him. Obviously, McGregor thinks Usyk. Who do you think?
I got a question.
Hold on, Phil. Unbiased. Who do you think?
Somehow it got confused where we were talking about Crawford, and then we started talking about.
Yeah, but we touched on that, and then we went to another thing. We just gonna let it flow. Based on how people see it.
So we're talking about
hold on. All right, what we got? So we're gonna go down the line. Obviously, we going Usyk or Gamboa because he did mention both, and then we didn't touch on the Crawford or Usyk as much because Doc wanted to go in a different direction with his point, and that's fine. We just gonna have to show more knowledge and go. So we asked the chat. I don't know what they typing yet. Usyk or Gamboa. So now we're gonna ask the people on the panel. Obviously, McGregor says unbiased. McGregor says Usyk. Unbiased. Who do you say? Just a name, Usyk or?
I think it's laughable to even compare Usyk and Gamboa. Obviously, Usyk.
Okay, so Fight Doctor is obviously Gamboa. That's 2-1.
Don't even ask me. Don't even put the question to me.
Beast is Usyk. Fight, Mr. Doc, who are you?
Usyk. Come on, man.
Okay, so battle is obviously Usyk, and then Phil is 5-1. Phil, who you got, Usyk or Gamboa?
Let me think about it. Usyk. Okay.
So that's 6-1 on you. That's 6-1 on Fight Doctor. Go ahead, Doc. Get your point in.
So it was brought up, I can't remember by who, while we were off air, that someone made the statement that they sounded like they were saying this is just an absolute thing, that winning titles in multiple weights trumps cleaning out your division in a tournament structure. And I'm not so sure.
No, it's fight.
I think it's well, whatever. I don't. Whoever said it is irrelevant to me. My point is, I don't agree, and I think it's very circumstantial.
No, I never made that point. I never made that point.
I'm not sure it was you. I'm not, but I just know somebody brought that up.
Yeah, let them run with the point.
And I brought up the rebuttal of, okay, well, what was better, Adrian Broner winning weights in 4 different weight classes, or what Holyfield did at cruiserweight?
Yeah, that was fight doctor.
Because if that's the case, like if you were ranking,
and the way it ties in is because that is one of the comparisons here. Is you've got Crawford's body of work moving up through weights versus a guy operating in one division.
Okay, now can I?
You also have you can compartmentalize this if you want, but related, you have a guy kind of catch can becoming undisputed, right? Crawford at 140, and you have a guy becoming undisputed in a strict tournament structure where
now,
we know
that. Can I adjust real quick?
Hold on, let him finish, right, doctor. Let him finish.
I'd like to hear everyone's thoughts on.
No one's point is more important than let someone finish. No one's. Not mine or any.
Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, I'd like to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions. Whichever, wherever they may lie.
Since a lot of people jumped in, quick summary of what you're saying. Just a quick version to ask the question, because I kind of got lost with a lot of people jumping in. So just give me a quick summary of what you're saying.
Basically, we have what we're comparing with what one of the things we were comparing and contrasting was Crawford winning, undisputed and making accomplishments in multiple weights, and winning undisputed is in a catch-as-catch-can style, versus Usyk operating in one weight class and becoming undisputed in a strict tournament structure. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's an absolute answer, and I don't think someone can just say, "Oh, one's automatically better than the other," without digging into it and picking apart the circumstances.
So which one was preferred by the boxing fans?
If we're going to compare the two, which is what we're doing here, this is one of the things we're going to have to compare, aren't we? We have to compare weight movement versus dominance in one division, and you got to compare becoming undisputed in a like I said, a catch-as-catch-can style, for lack of a better term, versus where you're in a strict tournament where you got to face whoever comes out next.
Okay, so Phil, to me, that seemed it was a summary and a question of what we had arguing. I guess you could look at a question. So I'll let Phil take the question on if he wanted, or make
it's more like I want to hear what everybody's thoughts are.
All right, we'll go ahead.
Who they think did better and why in those areas.
Yeah, it's Phil. It's on Phil. It's on Phil.
So you asking me who did better out of? Are we comparing just Crawford and Usyk, or just in general?
No. We're talking about weight movement accomplishment, right? Versus dominance in one division, and we're talking about winning undisputed in a catch-as-catch-can style. In other words, you make the fights here and there, versus winning undisputed in a strict tournament format.
Okay, so
what are the pros and cons in your views, and who comes out better, as a result?
Okay, well, in Usyk's case, I would say Usyk came out pretty. It was legitimate. I think I like the way that he became undisputed in his division, right? But then now on the flip side, I can make the argument of somebody like a Floyd Mayweather and the way, he did with his divisions, right? He went up and he dominated divisions, went all the way up to 154. Okay, so for me, that's kind of one of those questions where you have to take each individual fighter and compare each individual fighter up against another. So in certain circumstances, the tournament is most definitely better than somebody, moving up in divisions and saying, okay, well, I want to fight this guy. Okay, well, he's the weaker of the other champion, so I'm gonna fight this champion instead of this one. Yeah, but it goes back to, again, the fight, the best fighting the best. And I think in Usyk's case, in his division at that particular time, the best guys fought one another because of the tournament. But that's just not the situation for every single weight class. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes if you dominate one weight class, you may have to move up because, okay, there's nothing left for you in that particular division. I think.
So you're saying not.
Hold on. I think in Crawford's case at 140, okay, he became undisputed. Now, it was to me, it seemed to be a pretty easy career path when he became undisputed because Ndongo really wasn't, and he just wasn't close to being an elite fighter like Crawford was. Okay, but now if Crawford moves up to 147 and comes undisputed, now that's a totally different kind of conversation. You understand what I'm saying? So in the case of, if we're just talking about undisputed at 140 versus the tournament at cruiserweight with Usyk, then you have to say the tournament was better because the 140 competition just wasn't there to have a tournament. You understand what I'm saying? It's just a hard question to answer.
What about Crawford's weight movement accomplishments versus Usyk overall having his career all at cruiserweight so far?
Okay, well, I think to me personally, when a fighter is able to become a 2, 3, or 4 weight champion, that's great. But where's his final destination, right? Because same thing could be said. Somebody mentioned Adrian Broner earlier, right? Now, Adrian Broner went all the way up to 147. He's got the 147, and I mean, he's become pretty much a complete joke at this point. You understand what I'm saying? So, in the case of that, then, in Crawford's case, I think his story is still untold because now he's at 147, which to me is a more stacked division, and to me, he's more of a natural 147 than he maybe a 40 or 135 fighter. You understand what I'm saying? So his story is still untold. But in Usyk's case, again, he's isolated to that one division. Now, when we will be able to make a definitive answer about this is when he goes to heavyweight and he fights these guys, and we see how he performs on that level. Because his only jump is to heavyweight. Okay, he fought the best guys at cruiser, and he dominated them. He became undisputed. He defended it one time against a pretty decent cruiserweight Tony Bellew. I wouldn't say the best, but he did defend his title once, undisputed once, and now he's done with that division. He has to go up. So that question in general, it's just kind of one of those things where you can't. It's a hard argument. I mean, people can make great points for both, and I'm just kind of right now. That was something I would really have to sit down and really analyze to give you a definitive answer, or at least where I completely stand.
Yo, can I jump in for a second?
Hold on, one second.
Sure. I want to get everybody's thoughts if possible. Yeah.
If you jump in, everyone's gonna jump in.
All right, hold on. We got so Unbiased is not here, so he gonna go to the back of the line. Battle. It was on Battle next. It was Phil, Unbiased.
What was the
Battle,
question?
then Beats.
And what was the question?
If you feel like you don't have an answer to the question, you could
we prefer.
We could go to Beats and then you could go to something else. So Beats, we go to Beats and then we'll go to Battle.
What was the question?
Go ahead. If Beats, let Beats touch on it, and if you feel like responding to it, we'll go to Beats and then Battle. Go ahead, Beats.
Well, all right. What I wanted to say, is when Crawford fought Ndongo, it wasn't like Ndongo was groomed to be a unification partner for Crawford. It was a very opportunistic thing where Eddie had options on him, and they just took advantage of that to get him a cruiserweight belt. Really and truly, he should have fought Lipinets, right? He should have fought Lipinets. It is mandatory, and then the winner out of that should have took on Crawford for undisputed. So it was more like you see, like it wasn't like Ndongo was champion for a few years, or he had a resume and said, "Yeah, this is going to culminate in a fight with Crawford." It was just very opportunistic that he got the chance to. And as for saying like not everybody had a tournament, an opportunity to be great. Well, that's tough. You got to be in it to win it. I mean, all the main people put their belts on the line. So we was going to come out with an undisputed champion. So you can't discredit the cruiserweights for that, and the other belt holders ain't doing it. No one's stopping them from fighting the other belt holders without a tournament. So I'm not taking that. So he gets full credit. You know what I mean? He's an opportunist as well, and he took it. He did what he had to do, and big up all the cruiserweights who put their belt on the line because they all tried to be great.
Yeah, that's what.
Babby, you got a point, or you want to touch on just anything you want to go on, Babby?
I agree wholeheartedly with Beats because I was having an argument with a guy when I was saying we was having an argument of whether or not the
Debate,
this
debate.
said fighter whether or not this said fighter at 140 would be the top guy if he won the tournament. And I said yes, because of Ramirez. I favor Josh Taylor to win the tournament. Other people might disagree, but I favor Josh Taylor. If Josh Taylor won the tournament and if Jose Ramirez came at him and said, "You're not the real champion," I wasn't even entered in the tournament. I'm going to be like tough cookies, man. He chose to fight the toughest competition while you chose to sit back behind your promoter, which is a lot of what people do. Even if it wasn't your fault, I still can't give it to you just because you say it is. You have to do it. Josh Taylor actually fought the top level competition at 140 and earned the tournament to do so. The same thing with Tabiti. I was having the argument with Phil. Tabiti, same thing. His argument was he didn't get the memo. He didn't get the email. Okay, fine. That's still not Usyk's problem just because you didn't enter the tournament. We're not going to have a whole nother tournament just to prove this one guy was the best at the division.
Hold on.
So
in my
let him finish.
So I gotta say, if you didn't join the tournament, well, that's tough cookies on you because you decided that you were going to sit back and wait your opportunity when these guys were actually fighting each other, and that's the reason why you don't see many tournaments at welterweights or heavyweight.
I will say this, Battle Ramirez, even outside the tournament, if they can make a fight with Maurice Hooker. And the fight he just had with the basically undefeated fighter, he only lost on some UK kind of bullcrap when his shoulder dislocated and they didn't they didn't make the right call. I will say, even outside the tournament, he's fighting the best competition out there. Now, if he get Hooker, he got a case. I got 2 belts in the tournament when I got 2 belts even without a tournament. You got to give Bob Arum some credit. I just say that. And I fuck with Josh Taylor.
People can say the same thing with Gilberto Ramirez and stuff like that, but
well, Roberto ain't fighting. He's not fighting that level of competition. Honestly, I believe in Ramirez's last 4 fights. His guys are like 101 combined, 101 or something of that nature. Amir Imam, the guy from Philly, Mike Reed, and then what's his name? Zepeda was basically undefeated. So he's fighting some pretty stiff names, and then Orozco, he's fighting top 10 opposition. But the best of 140 to enter the tournament, and it's on Fight Doctor now.
No, hold on. Let me. He said my name, so I need to jump in real quick. I'm not gonna be long. But to go back to what you said earlier, Battle. So this is what I was saying right here. Okay, so you have to, because you got to think about it. This is what these guys do to feed their families, right? This is how they make a living. They're prize fighters, right? And I emphasize the word prize because let's just say you have a good promoter, right? And your promoter tells you, hey, you have a belt, all right? You don't have to enter the tournament. You're already a champion, okay? It's going to be more lucrative for you to stay out of the tournament, okay? And then when the tournament's over, you can go and fight whoever the champion of the tournament is. Does that might not make sense as a career path for somebody who's actually a legit champion and is one of the better guys in the division?
No, because it could be a case where somebody
No, because you're saying that in order to find out who's the best, you have to enter the tournament. That's false.
Because you remember I had that conversation where I said just because you beat one person does not make you the best in the division. There are instances where that has happened.
Talk about what I said. Talk about what I said.
Hold on. No. Y'all going over each other. Hold on. Y'all going over each other.
What I said.
Okay, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. I'm debating your point. That's why I'm bringing up the point. When you look at the guys where he said, I'm just going to hold on to this belt while this guy fighting the tournament, you can claim that you're the best at the division when you beat that guy. But as far as who he's been beating, I would give to edge to the guy who's been beating more names, because I said it before. You can have somebody's number on any day. Riddick, like I said, nobody ranks Riddick Bowe top 10 for beating Evander Holyfield, but everybody wants to say Evander Holyfield is a top 10 heavyweight. Why? Because he has better quality wins at cruiser and at heavyweight. So that's the problem. When it comes to somebody that wants to sit outside the tournament and beat a guy, you can have that win, of course. But I want to see rematch. I want to see people fighting each other on the dime where they can say, I'm the best in the division, and there's no disputing it. That's why I'm so high on people.
So let me ask you something. So if let's just say you have two guys in the tournament, let's say you have two different guys in the tournament. Two of those guys have the belt, and the other two belts, one champion has it, right? So those guys fight in that tournament. One of them comes out unified, okay? And the guy who has the other two belts is also unified, but he didn't enter the tournament. If he fights the unified champion out of the tournament, does that not make him the best? I don't care when you say somebody, oh, they say that they're the best. I mean, anybody can say any fucking thing. I mean, let's just be real about it. Until the guy,
but like I said,
hold on. I'll let you go. So this is what I'm saying right here. If I'm unified champion, okay, and I decide not to enter the tournament, guess what? I'm just gonna just sit back and let a fight. Just because I'm not in the tournament don't mean that I'm not active. Don't mean I still can't fight stiff competition. It just means, guess what? I'm picking my fight. I'm picking my paychecks. I'm picking my dates. I'm doing all of that stuff. Okay. So
I got a rebuttal for that.
Hold on. So you can't say, because again, this is the guy's career. If I'm unified champion and I want to wait for the tournament to end and stay active while the tournament is going on and fight the unified champion come out of the tournament, then guess what? To me, that's my decision. That's my business move. And guess what? I don't see anything wrong with that. Just because you have a tournament does not necessarily mean you fought all the best guys in that division. That just means you fought the best guys in the tournament. Period. It's common sense.
Listen, can I jump in for a second? Can I jump in for a second?
You can't. Battle's been waiting.
Hold on. One last rebuttal from Battle, then we go to fight Dr. McGregor and then Mr. Doc.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question, Phil. Who's unified at 147?
Nobody's unified right now.
Well, who has unified at 147?
Keith Thurman.
Keith Thurman.
Do you believe Keith Thurman is number one in the division?
Do I believe he's number one in the division? I can go.
I thought Keith isn't unified anymore.
No, he's not.
He's not. But he's asking a good question.
Yesterday, I would say this. Phil said yesterday he is the number one division. He rated yesterday and he said yes.
No, I did. You're lying, Lo. You're lying.
Sure?
I'm positive. I didn't say that yesterday.
Okay, so who do you rank as number one?
In the division?
Yes.
Really, I don't really think it's the number one in the division. I think all those guys.
Okay, so it's up in the air. That's fine. That's totally fine.
I don't have a number one. I don't believe he's just. I can't say you have one other champion that has a belt. Keith Thurman has beat him, but all the other champions, none of them has.
That's totally fine. That is totally fine. But you have a division that's up in the air, like we're mentioning right now. What is the best way to weed out that competition? Do you not think a tournament is the best way to do that?
Okay,
it depends on who's in the tournament.
Hold on. Let fight doctor jump in there. Hold on, y'all going on about a tournament or fighting is basically what y'all are saying is, to me as the moderator, y'all saying either way it's gonna be fighting the best competition, tournament or no tournament. So we get nowhere on it.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. You're right.
I was trying to get Battle to close his point, and Battle asked the question instead of closing his point. So I'm just gonna go on.
I'll close it, and I'll leave to the next guy.
I'm gonna close it, motherfucker. You had your chance, you blew it like Shannon.
Well, he ain't lying. You did ask him a question, so go ahead. You close it up, Phil. No question, the statement, and close it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna close it up right here. Okay, now this is the facts right here. Whether you do it in a tournament style or whether you don't do it in a tournament style, okay, the fact is, in order to become unified, undisputed, whatever you want to call it, you still have to fight the best guys in the division. If one guy comes out of the tournament unified and the other guy, who's the other unified champion, doesn't fight in the tournament, they fight each other. At the end of the day, one took one route to do it, the other one took another route to do it. Just because you fight in the tournament doesn't mean you fought the best fighter. That just means you fought the best fighters in the tournament. You can dominate. If there's still a champion out there that wasn't in the tournament, guess what? In order to call yourself the best, not call yourself the best, but call yourself the best and actually compete, and become the best is two totally different things. Okay, those guys have to fight. I don't see it doesn't matter if you get in a tournament or not. What matters at the end of the day is if you become unified or undisputed. Period.
All right, Fight Doctor, I'm gonna let you go wherever you want to go with it. If you want to touch on that, feel free. I consider you creative enough to make a new lane that people want to jump on. Hell, you made this lane, so you go where you want to go with it. It's on you.
Okay, so there are a couple of things. A couple of things I want to touch on. Phil is 100% right. The tournament is only as good as the guys who are in it. At the end of the day, in order to be the best, you have to beat the best, tournament or no. That's the only way. If the top guys, look, you determine who the best guy is when the best guys fight. Period. Tournament or no, it does not matter. Listen, now Doc brought up a good point that I want to address when he made the comparison between Adrian Broner and Evander Holyfield, and I think that is very relevant to what we're talking about right now. Adrian Broner moving up in weight, one title's at 135. A title at 130, a title at 135, a title at 140, and a title at 147. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Broner has won titles in 4 weight classes.
Correct.
Whereas Evander Holyfield, on the other hand, he dominated the cruiserweight division. Okay. Now, we can compare that to what Terence Crawford has done and what Usyk has done. However, there's a big difference here. That one, Terence Crawford has been more dominant in his move through the weight classes than Adrian Broner has. And 2, Evander Holyfield and his domination of the cruiserweight division, he beat a legend in Dwight Muhammad Cowie. What legend has Usyk beaten? Okay? Because an argument can be made that Usyk has beaten nothing but setups and tomato cans. Okay? These guys haven't proven anything. Holyfield in his campaign at cruiserweight beat guys who were proven. Period. Who in the hell, I keep asking this question, I get no answer. Who in the hell has Usyk ever beaten? Who has he beat? Has he beaten guys who are proven? Now as far as the comparison with him and Gamboa is concerned, listen, I'm not high on Gamboa. As far as I'm concerned, his resume is questionable too. But at the very least, the one thing he does have going for him is that he moved up in weight. Okay.
McGregor, it's your go, and I'm gonna ask you, since you're a historian in your own right, and it's not much history, but it's Evander Holyfield moving up from cruiserweight. He was the undisputed champion, correct? And he still had questions. So it's fair to say him and Usyk moving up with the same amount of questions from cruiserweight, or is it not fair to say that?
Listen, real quick, can I just add one more point, please? One more point, then I'll defer to McGregor.
Your points, man. You make your point.
Let him make his point. And then I'll come in like a real surgeon.
All right, we keep talking about world champion this, world champion that. Listen, guys, there is only one world. Last I checked. Therefore, there can only be one world champion per division at a time. You can't have multiple world champions in a division at one time because they're not multiple worlds. There is only one world, therefore there can only be one world champion. Now, you can have title lists. You can have a WBC title list. You can have a WBA title list. You can have an IBF title list, and that's fine. I will accept that. However, you can't have multiple world champions when there are not multiple worlds. Now, with that, I defer to McGregor.
Oh, okay. What was the question you asked me, though?
So Evander moved up questionless from cruiserweight, right?
No, there was a lot of questions. There was one major question was about his chin, how it would hold up going up to heavyweights. That's a similar question.
So the reason I asked you this is because is it people that feel like there's people here, and a lot of people saying Usyk is going to make his bones at heavyweight. They're not going to accept this being the end of his career at cruiserweight. Did they feel the same about Evander Holyfield? Did they still feel the same about Evander?
After McGregor, can I get in? After McGregor?
Yeah, yeah. We can go Beats and we'll go ahead, McGregor.
Yeah, don't cut across me. By the way, like I don't do it to you, so I don't want you doing it to me, right? That's very very simple. When I say his chin was a question, his chin's been proven at the end of his career, right? He had a fantastic chin, but people questioned his chin going from cruiserweight into the heavyweight division and how it would hold up against Mike Tyson, because that's who people were comparing him to. That's the fight people wanted to see. That was the guy they wanted to see him against. Was Mike Tyson. That fucking fight was talked about from the moment Evander Holyfield was moving up to heavyweight. And nobody can question that people weren't saying that they wanted to see how it would go in terms of how his chin would hold up against Mike. Because people were saying he'd get knocked out because he's too small, even though he was pretty much the same size. Now, I don't know what's going on with the whole one world thing, but in the one world that we do live in, and in the political world that we do live in, there just happens to be a lot of belts. And unfortunately, in this era of boxing, if we go comparing it to other eras of boxing, there was a lot less belts back then. There was 1, and then there was 2, and then there was 3. Now there's 4. Yeah, some people, there's fucking 9. So, I don't get what the point is about the whole one world thing. If you want to go off of lineage, you'd need to name the entire lineal line and say who it goes back to. Because realistically, if we're talking about heavyweight, the lineal line only goes back to Vladimir Klitschko currently. So, if we're being realistic, like, we're not talking about the line of Patterson up to Lewis. We're not talking about the line from Tunney up to Marciano. We're not talking about the line from what's his name? Well, no, that line ended with Tunney. Sullivan going all the way up to Tunney. We're not talking about those lines. We're talking about there's only one world champion. That's fucking bullshit. Last time I counted, there was like 3 or 4 world champions in every weight division, except one. Except one. There is only one world champion in boxing right now. One. Which is the whole point you guys are just making. One world champion. And what's his name?
Usyk.
Thank you.
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what I wanted to say, in terms of Holyfield being a legend in Kawi, that is true. But Gassiev isn't even 25. But Michael Hunter's a kid. Who's to say Brady? So none of these kids can make their own lane as well, and elevate his wins even further, or who he beats in the heavyweight division. Holyfield's career is over. So Usyk beat Holyfield's record, and it was a great record, and Holyfield was a tremendous fighter. But Usyk is in the ascendancy right now until he's beaten. He's in the ascendancy, no doubt. He's beat some really good fighters. Hunter's really good. Hunter's really good. You know,
we got
that's why I said earlier his story is still untold. So it'd be hard to put a label on him right now, because we still need to see more of his story be told.
All right, Doc, you want to add anything or change anything? It's on you, Mr. Doc, not quite Doc.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right.
What is the question of the moment now?
It was just anything you want to change into, or if the chat got any opinion they have, any good question from the chat, anything, y'all chime in. I'll take in what's best.
The only other point I would add is or a question maybe I'd add is, does Usyk and or other cruiserweights get unintentionally penalized for the fact that there's only really one weight class they can go to in most cases?
I would say
when we compare these things
point.
pound for pound, since we're bringing up, we're talking about weight movement.
I've made that point. Like I said, I would say there's 75 to cruiserweight, 25-pound jump. The WBC even considered putting in more weight classes and throwing that percentage, that body weight percentage stuff out the window. And I completely agree with it, because if you look at Stevenson, 41 years old, and people saying go up to cruiserweight. I'm like, that's probably not going to work. I think there is an issue just just on my end. But anybody in the chat, ask any good question, anything about boxing. Ain't got to be nothing we've been talking about. Any significant question. Yeah, hey, and we'll see if the panel want to touch on it. If it's certain people that want to go in, those people can go in about it. It's a good conversation, good discussion, not too much. All right, we got Fat Apples. Do you agree that Muhammad Ali Trophy is the closest thing that we have to a lineal belt? And should we, as boxing fans, be pushing this more? I'm going to say my honest opinion is say that's debatable, and we're gonna let y'all do that if y'all want to do that. And I
think we should be pushing. I think we should be pushing. Real quick, Beats. Let me finish.
Go ahead, Doc. And
my answer would be. I'm not so sure about the whole trophy vis-a-vis lineal title thing, but we absolutely should be pushing for tournaments like this more.
All right, Beats.
Look, man. You see people talk about lineal is so important. But tell me who was talking about Crawford Grimsley versus George Foreman, or Lou Savary versus George, or what was his name? Stephen Tankstead versus Michael Speaks. Who spoke about it?
Sorry.
Nobody spoke about them fights. But people lineal every second. Come on, man, it's ridiculous.
Wait, can I address that real quick?
Go fight, Doc.
It was on unbiased left, and then it was going to battle. So and then it's go to battle. We'll go to fight doctor. Go to fight doctor, and then we'll go to battle.
You want me to?
No. I'm actually wrong. I skipped a long line of field. So let's go fight doctor. We'll go field. We'll go battle. Go ahead, fight doctor.
All right. So yeah, I'm big on the whole lineal deal, right? Not gonna lie, because at the end of the day, there is, like I said, there's only one world. Therefore, you can only have one world champion. You can have champions of different organizations, but the WBA, the WBC, that's not the world. That's the WBA. So the WBA champion, the WBA world champion, is the world champion of the WBA's world, not of the world. Okay, let's get that clear. There's only one world. There can be only one world champion. Period. Sanctioning bodies don't determine who is or who is not the world champion. Now, as far as George Foreman is concerned, listen, George Foreman knocked out Joe Frazier.
Bullshit.
Twice.
Bullshit.
It's bullshit that there's only one world.
No, it's bullshit when you say that. It's bullshit when he says that the sanctioning bodies don't fucking control who fights for lineal.
No,
because it does happen.
No.
And that happens.
What I'm saying is that
real quick. Let's stay on the line, and we'll just get to it when we get to it.
Wait.
Fight doctor, finish his point up. Right. Hold on. Fight doctor, you finish your point up.
Wait. What I'm saying is that the sanctioning bodies do not determine who is or who is not the champion of the world. They don't do that. The WBC can determine who is or who is not the champion of the WBC's world, yes, but not of the world. That's just a simple fact. That's just a fact, okay? The WBC champion is not necessarily the world champion because the WBC says so. Who in the fuck is the WBC? All right? Now, George Foreman knocked out Joe Frazier twice. He knocked out the Southpaw heavyweight. Who is it? The guy who beat Evander Holyfield to win at 45 when he won the title. Michael Moore. All right. So at 45 years old. So I don't understand how you're talking about this George Foreman fighting Lou Savary, and that's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, George Foreman is a legitimate top 10 heavyweight with names on his resume, and last I checked, is the oldest man ever to claim the legitimate heavyweight title. So where's this criticism coming from?
I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of top 10 heavyweights, mate, because that's a dangerous game.
All right, man. I think we got Phil.
Look. Well, from the initial question, I will say this right here. I agree with what Mr. Doc said. Okay, so I'm gonna be quick in what my answer to the question was. Mr. Doc is completely right. We do need to promote these kind of tournaments a lot more. That way he cut through all the grease and bullshit that we're going through. Now, to address McGregor and fight Doc. McGregor, just a few minutes ago, you just said, hey, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. I'm not doing it to you. But then you interrupt fight doctor. All I'm saying is everybody on the panel needs to respect one another. If you request something, then guess what? You need to dish out the same shit you're trying to receive. That's all I'm saying.
Truth and rights. Truth and rights. Yeah.
All right. I feel made this point. We got battle. You want to bring anything new into the fold? It's on you. It's just whatever you want to get with. It's on you.
And I'm gonna try to be respectful because I feel like I was coming off a little wrong a little earlier. So because you were trying to say that. Huh?
You there? Go ahead. You cut out. Go ahead. Start up.
I'm sorry. I was trying to be respectful with the fight doctor and Phil because I think the original argument was, with it started with Crawford and Usyk, and I was trying to say that Usyk is better, but like I said, I was trying to bring some up into the cruiserweight division just because I felt people were sleeping on it, and that was the one reason I said it, because you said that you brought up that you said we keep bringing up Usyk and say, who does he beat? What legend has he beat? Are we going to say Crawford has beat legends? I mean, are we going to say really that Ndonga was a legend? We're really going to say Gamboa was a legend?
When you address a certain point, say names. You said Philip and Fight Doctor, okay? So if you're going to talk about a specific point, hold on. No, just listen to me. If you're going to talk about a specific point Fight Doctor brought up, you need to say Fight Doctor said this. Because Phil didn't say what you just said.
I did say that. If you heard what I said, earlier.
Fight Doctor.
You kind of interrupted.
Go ahead, Battle.
I said that earlier. I was saying I came off a certain way to Phil and Fight Doctor, and I said I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to sound disrespectful, and then I went on to
Fight Doctor. It's a boxing debate. Battle. Nobody taking anything. It's a boxing debate. We sharing and debate knowledge. Go ahead on any point you want to make. You touch on any point. Anything. I don't care if you mention. I don't care if you mention. God knows who. If it's boxing and this can be debated and talked about, feel free.
Okay, and I was trying to say that I didn't get his whole argument to the Fight Doctor. Let me clarify, just in case you didn't hear what I said. The Fight Doctor, where we said that Usyk didn't beat any legends. Well, neither did Crawford. Crawford doesn't have any legends on his resume. And then you said that basically, well, we keep going back to who did he beat? We told you who he beat like 5 times already. So, I mean, what other things do you need?
Can I just quick, if you don't mind? Is that cool?
Go ahead, Beats.
Listen, right? You see, with Foreman, was Foreman undisputed champion when he was lineal when he was reduced to no belts? No, he took 2 belts of Michael Moore, and there was 4 out there. He took 2 belts, right? So when you're saying lineal, do you see? Because like as I was explaining to the brother who's the DJ there, all right. Now, all right. Let me explain this to everyone, and let's see if everyone gets this. Right, Murray Sutherland in 1984 was the first super middleweight champion ever for the IBF, right? So, do everyone agree there is no lineage to that belt because he's the first? You can't be a lineal champion if you're the first. You can pass on lineage, right? You can pass on it. He passed on the lineage, right? And my friend was not getting that, right? George Foreman was not undisputed champion when he was defending against Crawford, Brimley, and them guys. He wasn't undisputed in the first place. So what is it you're saying, really? You're saying he's lineal champion, right? Because he had the original belt. But he wasn't undisputed. There was 2 more belts out there.
Wait. Listen, I think I've already explained the point that belts are meaningless. The WBC, the WBA, the IBF do not determine who is or who is not a world champion. They don't.
So what are you basing Foreman being lineal champion on then?
Okay, do I need to? Listen, I'll be more than happy to explain it. All right, the simple fact. Listen, Foreman beat the man who beat the man. Now listen, Foreman, the title that Foreman won for Michael Moore, the lineage goes all the way back to Sonny Liston. That's a fact.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Oh, yes, it does. And I'll be more than happy to explain it. But the lineage goes all the way back to Sonny Liston. That's the reason why. That is the reason.
Rain by rain, do it then.
Oh, more than happy to. Give me 2 seconds, okay? Give me 2 seconds. I'll be more than happy to explain the.
Yo, so just let me address Battle real quick. Yo, Battle, look, bro. You don't have to come on apologizing to about nothing, bro. Like we debating. Everybody has their opinions. We're all men. Bro, I don't take nothing personal, dog. Just putting that out there, man. I mean, you know, anybody on this.
Okay, so here's the lineage of the title that George Foreman took for Michael Moore. So George Foreman beat Michael Moore, who beat Evander Holyfield, who beat Riddick Bowe, who beat Evander Holyfield, who beat James Buster Douglas, who beat Mike Tyson, who beat Michael Spinks, who beat Larry Holmes, who beat Muhammad Ali, who beat Leon Spinks, who beat Muhammad Ali, who beat George Foreman, who beat Joe Frazier, who beat Cassius Clay, who beat Charles Sonny Liston.
Hold on.
Please stop. Please stop.
Larry Holmes. Mike Tyson took lineage from Larry Holmes. Did he? Is that what happened?
No. He said Spinks. He said Spinks.
Wait. Listen. Do I need to go over there?
Hold on. Everybody. Hold on. I heard him say Spinks. He did say Spinks.
Okay.
Let him name his list. If he's wrong.
Wait, hold on. Can I just say one thing, Beats?
Fight doctor. Do you have your list that you did you mention Spinks? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
I thought he did. I honestly thought he said Spinks. We can hear it on playback, but
I heard.
No, listen. I'd be more than happy to go up the list again. You want me to give you the list again?
Before you do, you said that list started, that lineage, right? Started with Sonny Liston, and now you've gone on.
No. I didn't say it started with Sonny Liston.
You said this lineage, George Foreman's lineage, goes all the way back to Sonny Liston, and it does.
Yes, that's what I said.
Floyd Patterson. It goes back to Floyd Patterson, and then
I agree. Okay,
Liston.
All right, well, let him.
Okay.
If it goes further than Liston, then he's okay. But if it
he's right. It does go back to Floyd Patterson. I just didn't mention Floyd Patterson. I mentioned Sonny Liston
as long as he's tying the line back to Sonny Liston, he's okay. So go on with your list. I just wanted to. I know I heard at least he say that he did the Lewis and not Lewis but the Holyfield switch up. He did that. And then
listen. Look, let me go over the list again. Okay. This time I'm going to take it all the way back to Floyd Patterson. Okay. So George Foreman beat Michael Moore, who beat Evander Holyfield, who beat Riddick Bowe, who beat Evander Holyfield, who beat James Buster Douglas, who beat Mike Tyson, who beat Michael Spinks, who beat Larry Holmes, who beat Muhammad Ali, who beat Leon Spinks. I'm not finished. Who beat Muhammad Ali, who beat George Foreman, who beat Joe Frazier, who beat Cassius Clay, who beat Charles Sonny Liston, who beat Floyd Patterson, who beat Ingemar Johansson, who beat Floyd Patterson. That is the lineage. Wait, I'm not finished. That is the lineage of the title that George Foreman won off of Michael Moore. Now, those other two pretenders who were running around with those fake-ass belts, who in the hell did they beat when George Foreman was campaigning as a heavyweight after he beat Michael Moore? Who the hell did they beat?
No, Tal, let's go back, right? You said Mike Tyson, who beat Michael Spinks. That's what you said.
Yes.
Right? But you mentioned Mike, but you're going. What? All right. Say
but get your lies straight. Get your lies straight. Okay. Get your lies straight.
It's on y'all too. Hold on. Time out. It's on y'all. We're gonna let y'all have a nice little 10-minute go. It's on y'all too. Don't talk over each other. And go ahead, Beats.
All right, go from Buster Douglas again. Go from Buster Douglas.
Okay. All right. Buster Douglas. All right. So Buster Douglas, who beat Mike Tyson, who beat Michael Spinks, who beat Larry Holmes, who beat Muhammad Ali, who beat Leon Spinks, who beat Muhammad Ali, who beat George Foreman, who beat Joe Frazier, who beat Cassius Clay, who beat Charles Sonny Liston, who beat Floyd Patterson, who beat Ingemar Johansson, who beat Floyd Patterson. Okay? Now that's the lineage of the title that George Foreman won from Michael Moore. So all of this nonsense you talking about, these other WBA belt, whatever the fuck belts were running around, those titles had less than no meaning because they had no lineage. Nothing. Whoever had those belts had zero legitimate claim to the heavyweight title. George Foreman was a heavyweight champion of the world after beating Michael Moore for the simple fact that he beat the man who beat the man. And whoever he chooses, wait, let me finish. Whoever George Foreman decides to defend his title against, that's his right, that's his privilege as the heavyweight champion of the world.
Let Beats in there. Let him in there.
20 minutes though. You can't do that. Too long. Right? Okay. So let's go for this WBC title. Larry Holmes had it. He gave it up and took the IBF.
Why are you talking about this WBC business?
Hold on, fight doctor.
You see that?
Pause. Fight doctor. Let him make his point.
Right? Right? All the time. No discipline. No respect for nobody's opinion.
Let him make his point. Here we go.
Right. So Larry Holmes had the WBC belt. He gave it in for the IBF belt. Right? He gave that in for the IBF belt. So Pinkley Thomas took that and he lost it to Trevor Berbick. The IBF belt, Spinks had that, right? And he gave it up. So the lineage you're talking about, he gave that up.
Wait, no, that's bullshit. No, that's bullshit. Oh, come on, that's bullshit.
Right, doctor. Hold on, you're gonna get to rebuttal his opinion. Just let him make his, and he's not saying he's not right until you make him right. So give him a chance to finish, and you go.
You're trying to go on like you're going by lineage, but you're going by belt. He gave the belt up, and because he didn't want to participate in the tournament, as far as I'm concerned. Now you can have it your way. Right, which says he's lineal champion because he ducked the tournament. No, but to me, that's bullshit.
Let me ask Beast this. Wait.
Can I address that, please? This needs to be addressed.
Let me ask a quick question, and then I want to see if you agree with this. Did George Foreman, in a way, disrespect Lineage by not being a fighting lineal champion? Beats.
Yes, he did defend again. When he had the W decision against Actual Shots, he didn't defend it. He didn't give him the rematch that he was ordered to by the IBF. Right? In the end, he ended up holding some belts that you've never heard of.
Oh, so fight doctor. Do you agree that George Foreman didn't fight the guys that you would like to see the lineal champion fight? Correct.
Of course. And listen, I'm not going to dispute that at all. Now, listen, that's a totally different conversation. Now, if you guys want to have that conversation, I'm more than welcome. I'm more than willing to have that conversation, but that's not the conversation we're having right now. Conversation we're talking about right now, the thing we're talking about right now is the lineage, who is the legitimate champion in a given division. This in this particular case, the heavyweight division. Now listen, right now in 1983, I believe, Larry Holmes vacates the WBC title and he accepts the newly created title from the newly created IBF. So he vacates or gives up the WBC title and he assumed the role of IBF heavyweight champion. That, however, has nothing to do with his proper and a legitimate claim as the lineal and rightful heavyweight champion. Like I said before, the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, WBO, who in the hell ever do not determine who is or who is not the champion of the world. The lineal title is not subject to these goddamn sanctioning bodies. They're just not. I don't care. Let's wait. I don't care. Wait, hold on. I heard you. Hold on a second. Wait. I don't care that Michael Spinks vacated his IBF title. It does not matter in the historical perspective. It does not matter where lineage is concerned. Because at the end of the day, the IBF did not beat Larry Holmes. Michael Spinks did. Therefore, Michael Spinks becomes the man by way of the fact that he beat the man who beat the man, who in this case is Larry Holmes. So, therefore, Michael Spinks. Wait, let me finish. Michael Spinks is the heavyweight champion until he retires or is beaten. The IBF be damned. That shit doesn't matter. It doesn't figure into the equation at all. Period. Zero. It doesn't.
So let me ask Beast.
I just want to ask quickly. Let me get my answer, and I'm going to finish. Right? You're talking about all this because you mentioned Larry, and don't interrupt. Mute him if he interrupts. Mute him because you got no control. Right? You're saying that Larry Holmes' belt goes all the way back to Floyd Patterson. Well, let me tell you this, right? Ken Norton, who Larry Holmes took the belt from, was given the belt. Who was the lineage he got the belt from? Who's the man who beat the man there?
Ken Norton doesn't even figure into the equation because he's not part of the lineage.
He's given the belt.
So what does it matter? I already addressed this. Hold on.
Beast asked a question. Pause. Beast, you asked him a question. Was you giving your point to him at that point? Because that's what he believes. That's why he done.
If Larry Holmes beat Ken Norton, how can he not have no part of the lineage? That doesn't make sense.
He has no point. Wait. Who did Ken Norton beat?
Fight doctor. Earlier you said Larry Holmes beat Ali to become the lineal champion, correct?
Yes.
All right, that's his standpoint. Beats is saying that.
Didn't you also say retirement ends the lineage? Because I believe, if only for a brief time, Ali retired before he fought Larry Holmes.
That's right. He did. Okay, Ali was retired. Ali was retired for about 1 month.
So
in 1978.
If he announces a retirement, it should. I mean, boxing fans should take that and say, "All right, we're not gonna play with you. We're gonna let other people go on with their lives." All right, that's what needs to happen, in my honest opinion. But there is a break in history and like Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor. You would believe that Conor McGregor fought for the lineal world title?
No.
That's what we'd have to say.
Okay, so then let's address that. So now Muhammad Ali retired for about 1 month, and I think it was 1979. He was retired for 1 month. 1 month. Now, if you want to make the argument that the lineal title becomes vacant upon Muhammad Ali's retirement, then I would agree with that. However, in order to establish a new lineage, then the top 2 rated fighters in the division have to fight. So if Muhammad Ali retires as heavyweight champion, the lineal heavyweight champion, and unretires a month later, and that makes him the #1 heavyweight in the world. Larry Holmes is the #2 heavyweight in the world. So either way it goes, the Muhammad Ali Larry Holmes fight was a contest for the lineal heavyweight champion of the world.
It was a contest.
That goes beyond. That's not even debatable.
Go on the broadcast and see if it says WBC Heavyweight Championship or lineal. Go on the broadcast now.
What the hell does the WBC have to do with the lineage? It has nothing. You keep bringing up this WBC shit. I'm not even talking about the WBC.
I know. It could be, but it could be a title for both. Both could be on the line, correct?
But the WBC does not figure into the equation. I keep telling you that. Listen, the WBC does not have any. Look, the WBC does not determine who is or who is not the champion of the world. The WBC can only determine who is or who is not the champion of the WBC.
So, all right, better question, and I believe.
I really want to come back.
Is Tyson? Then this is what the whole panel. Your perspective on lineage is Tyson Fury the lineal champion?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Nah.
And the panel. Hey, look. Hold on. All right. We have McGregor. Hold on, McGregor. It's on you. Then we got Mr. Doc. We got.
Well, my answer's quick. If I think a month retirement is long enough for a guy to not be lineal, then clearly Fury was out long enough to not be lineal.
Look, based on the history of the lineage and retirement and stuff, once you say you're retired, you lose your lineal claim.
Yeah, hold on. Phil, you got background noise going on.
You got to mute Phil. You got to mute him. He's talking to him. Based on the history of lineage itself, yeah, when you say you're retired, you tend to lose your claim to lineal. But I just want to. Can I ask Fight Doctor a question because he's so serious on the lineal stuff, right? And the lineal line he's talking about. I just want to ask him a trivia question real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah, cool. Go ahead. Shoot.
Okay. Who did Floyd Patterson beat to become lineal champion?
That's a good question. To which I don't recall. He beat. I know the guy he beat. His name is
wow.
Said it.
I don't remember.
It was Archie Moore. It was Archie Moore. That should be something you should know off the top of your head. Everything you've been saying, I've been reading from the Wikipedia page, mate.
Yep.
Well, okay. Well, then that's because it's all true.
No, it's not all true.
Wait, what? I can go onto that Wikipedia page right now and edit the lineage if I want to.
Right, exactly.
Also, you're
okay, but you can't. But you can't. Hold on. You can't change the history. But wait, you can't change the history.
Yeah, neither can you. Name the belt. Name the belt that John L. Sullivan won. Name the belt.
Honestly, I don't recall. I don't remember.
It's called the NBA, which is the original name of the WBA. So the second you say these governing bodies don't have a say in lineage, that's the original fucking belt.
once upon a time, the heavyweight champion was determined by who won the New York State heavyweight title.
The New York State Athletic Commission title.
That's
right.
He was fighting.
That's right. So what does that have to do? So what does that have to do? So what does that have to do? So what does that have to do with the NBA?
Yeah, hold on, pause.
The NBA was the belt before the NYSAC.
Because the NBA is not the WBA. The NBA is the predecessor to the WBA. I understand that.
No, the WBA renamed themselves from the NBA.
Okay, then however you want to title it, that's fine. However, at the end of the day, the WBA and the Lineage Championship are two different things. They are.
No, the WBA is the Lineal Championship originally.
No, it is not. No,
yes,
it is not. No, it is not.
The NBA was the very first belt held, and then it got changed to the World Boxing Association instead of the World Boxing Association instead of National Boxing Association. They just changed the name. It's still
so when Muhammad Ali. So when Muhammad Ali fought Ernie Terrell, who was the WBA champion in that fight?
Ernie Terrell.
Who was the lineal heavyweight champion in that fight?
Muhammad Ali.
Okay, so then what is this shit you talking about then? You telling me that the WBA?
I'm talking about the original complex.
Wait. You're telling me that the WBA championship and the Lineage championship are one and the same. I just shot that argument right out of the water. Ernie Terrell was the quote unquote WBA champion when he fought Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali was the lineal champion. You're talking about something when the lineal line changed, mate. You're talking about after it had changed. You're bringing something up that happened 76 years afterwards. Are you that slow?
But wait. Well, aren't you the one that made the argument that the WBA championship and the lineal championship are one and the same? Didn't you say that?
No.
I said originally it was because I'm going back to the original lineal line. You're talking about a lineal line that was reformed.
Hey, I have a question for Fight Dog. Hey, Fight Dog. Okay, well... Okay, so like there's like no lineal at 154, right?
Right.
Okay, so like let's say, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just going to spout out this. So if Floyd was technically lineal at 154 for beating Cotto, so maybe it was Cotto, maybe I'm wrong. So if he was technically 154, and let's just say you buy the idea that Floyd just vacated the WBC belt because of sanctioning fees. Okay, do you still consider him the last lineal champion, like the real lineal champion at 154?
Yes, the WBC does not determine who is or who is not the champion. The WBC can only determine who is or who is not the champion of the WBC. The same goes for the WBA. Now it just happenstance that John L. Sullivan may have fought for the WBA title when he established the lineal championship. However, the lineal title and the WBA, NBA title, whatever the hell, those are two separate and distinct things. Because at the end of the day, the lineal champion is not subject to any rules or regulations imposed by a sanctioning body. He just isn't. The lineal champion, as a lineal champion, can fight whoever he wants to fight. Sanctioning bodies be damned.
Let me answer this guy. Is undisputed regulated by any sanctioning body to be the
listen, the undisputed shit is nothing. Undisputed what? No. Undisputed. Look. When you become when you become the lineal champion.
Hold on.
All right, Dan, you just came. I want to talk to Dan.
All right, what's up? Hey, what's up, man?
All right.
Hey, Beast, real quick.
What's up, Dan? Let me ask you this, Dan. Does any sanctioning body own a title called undisputed?
No, they do not. Well, if you're undisputed champion,
right? So
yeah, they don't.
You get 4 belts, that means you're not going. So just like lineal, you see how you're picking up lineal? If you become undisputed champion, you are not governed by a sanctioning body either. That's your title.
Hey, Fight Doctor.
Wait.
Hold on, Fight Doctor. I wanna make a point to you, and I heard another guy because I've been pushing Lineage over undisputed in my own way, and I heard another guy trying to take that narrative now, and I don't mind it, but I think you pushing it too, and I like Lineage, but if a guy drops a title, Fight Doctor, if a guy drops a title, what obligates him to fight anybody and maintain his? If he drops a title, he shouldn't be considered anything anymore because you can't obligate him to fight you by becoming his mandatory, correct or not?
But listen, at the end of the day, look, I'm not saying that the Lineage system is perfect. I'm not saying that.
Hey,
listen,
fight doctor. That's all I was wanting to know. That's all.
Can I add something?
That's all I wanted to know. I'm being
so
fair.
wait.
Okay.
Just real quick. Back to the example that I used the other day about Jack Dempsey. So Jack Dempsey, as the lineal heavyweight champion, he sat on the title for 3 years and he did not defend it. Okay. Now, as the lineal heavyweight champion, that is his right. He's earned that right. Now, is that good for boxing? No. Is that good? Is that a good look as the heavyweight champion? No. However, as the lineal champion, if he wants to sit on that title, if he wants to fight bums, that is his right. As a lineal champion, he can do that. Nobody can take his claim away from him unless he retires and unless he's beaten in the ring. There is 100 years of boxing tradition to back up that claim. That's just the way it goes.
Can I add something? Number one, let me just say something. And Beats and I talked about this on my hangout a couple years ago, right? The lineal champion, the alphabet belts, the WBA, the WBC, the WBO, IBF. Look, all the titles are very important. Let me tell you why. Because if you're a single belt holder of either one of those, you have to make something out of that. Let me give you an example. Like Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto was a single belt holder at 147, right? He was never lineal champion in that weight class. However, he had a lot of Hall of Fame wins down there. So he made that one single title defense very significant for being a single belt holder WBO champion. Okay? Now, lineal champion, yeah, it's just as important, but you got to make something out of that lineal title defense. So my thing is we got to stop degrading single title belt holders. I mean, in a way, all right? Cannot make that insignificant. The only way we can say, you know what, that guy's not worth me much because he didn't make something out of that title defense. Like Spinaki, for example, at super middleweight, okay? Nobody knows who that guy is. Why? Because this guy's fought in Germany for the most part of his career. Yes, he fought some good opponents, but he didn't fight the guys that most people wanted we wanted to see fight when he was a reigning unified champion at 168. So my thing is that we just got to stop kind of degrading these title belts. All right, they're all significant one way or the other. It depends.
I think so real quick. I just want to. I see this is getting pretty serious, so I want to add some comedy to it. I'm looking in the chat. I'm looking in the chat right now, and one of Low Place's followers' name is Fink Gur G RRR. He says, okay, I'm gonna quote his chat. He says, "I only trust in Mr. Lyon's lineage history." That's all.
No, man. Another clarification I wanted to make. I just heard this a second ago between Fight Doctor and McGregor. Shout out to both of you guys about the lineage, how far it goes back. Let's just make a small correction. The lineage is not the WBA or the NBA. Okay, the lineage is a separate entity. Number two, the WBA is the NBA. The NBA was formed in correct me if I'm wrong, Beats. It was formed around the 1920s. And then the NSAC came in right after that, the New York State Athletic Commission title. So you had two sanctioned bodies then. That was separate from the lineage. Okay, whoever was the NSAC champion or the NBA champion was not considered the legitimate world champion. The legitimate world champion was considered lineal. Whoever the world champion was, that was determined by the sports writers or the Ring magazine back then. So just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, not all reigns are created equal. At the end of the day, regardless of what belt we're talking. Hang on. Regardless of what belt we're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong here, Dan, in summing up your point. Regardless of the belt, not all reigns are created equal.
Right. They're not. Exactly.
Like Michael Spinks' championship reign, lineal championship reign, not so hot. Not so hot.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't so hot, because Spinks was, he was ducking and jiving some guys after they beat Holmes twice. He was. All right. Okay. So
I think that's what I've been saying from the get-go, that the lineal championship is separate and distinct from these sanctioning mob organizations' trinkets. The WBA, the WBC, IBF, WBO. Look, there are like 9 sanctioning bodies, okay? I don't understand why one is regarded as more valid than the other. They're all criminals, as far as I'm concerned, and they're all equally meaningless.
That's fair fight, Doctor. But are you going to say that implicitly?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
Are you saying this is an honest question? Are you saying implicitly that a lineal reign is better than any other reign? Because I'd argue all day with you that Larry Holmes' WBC reign, for example, kicks the shit out of Michael Spinks' lineal reign.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. I think the question is moot because at the end of the day, Larry Holmes won the lineal title. So The question is,
but yeah, that's not. No, that's the. You know what I'm trying to say, though. I could use it
Well,
to change your stance or whatever.
I think, wait,
What's more? Okay, let me ask it another way. What's more important to you, the type of reign or the quality of the reign? That'd be a better way to put my question.
Well, listen, I think. Listen, at the end of the day, it's about who you beat, okay? And you got to beat quality guys.
It's the quality. It's the quality of reign.
Answering the question. No, answering the question.
He said quality of reign.
But on the same token, a guy doesn't become a world champion just because he gets a WBC title or IBF title. No, it's not what makes you a world champion. You become a world champion when you beat the man, when you beat the lineal champion who comes before you. That's when you become a world champion.
Well, Mike, I agree.
How much weight?
When can I say something? I agree to disagree on that. And let me tell you why. This is the reason why I brought up Miguel Cotto. Because Miguel Cotto never fought the lineal champion at 147. But we can all agree that he has Hall of Fame wins and great wins at 147, correct?
Yep.
We all agree on that, right?
Exactly.
Oh, listen. His win against Shane Mosley was a tremendous victory.
Well, I'm sorry?
Miguel Cotto beating Shane Mosley at 147 was a damn good win. It was a tremendous win.
What about that?
That's my whole point. Fight dog. I mean, if you're going to say that Larry Holmes was eventually Leno, well, he beat it off Muhammad Ali, who was basically a dead body in the ring. So I mean, how far are you going to hold that lineage as far as with Larry Holmes? Larry Holmes is, of course, 9-year reigning champion, but he wasn't like the lineal from being like a
created equal. Good point.
Listen, you look at the end of the day, you cannot argue the lineage of Muhammad Ali.
Not all lineals are created equal.
Hang on. No one's arguing. I don't think anyone's arguing the lineage. They're arguing the quality. They're arguing the
not
quality.
all linealship is going to be created.
Okay, but now if we're talking about
hold on. Let's
get back to the way we was doing earlier.
Hold on. I had to leave, so I couldn't keep no order. Y'all did okay, but I was in the background. But I would say, to document a point, not all lineage is going to be created equal, but not all WBA titleists or WBO.
Yeah, no reign. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Make what you make out your career, but you got to.
I can best answer that question by using this example. Now let's use the example of Mike Tyson and Michael Spinks. Now, when Michael Spinks had beat Larry Holmes, he became the lineal and legitimate one world champion in the heavyweight division. At the same time, you have Mike Tyson, who had collected the WBC, and IBF titles. Now, if you were going to say, okay, well, who was the best fighter at that time prior to them fighting? Most people would probably think that Mike Tyson was the better fighter, which he actually proved to be. However, the fact that Mike Tyson was better than Michael Spinks does not in any way diminish Michael Spinks' legitimate claim as the heavyweight champion. So the point I'm trying to make is there are strong lineal champions and there are weak lineal champions. There are in between lineal champions.
Well, okay. Let me ask you a question, Fight Doctor. Let me put you on the spot. And who did you consider the real champion at that time, Mike Tyson or Michael Spinks?
Michael Spinks. Michael Spinks, because of the fact that he beat.
DJ Guy, one question. So you consider Spinks versus Tankstead as a legitimate title defense of the lineal championship? That's what you consider, yeah? That's your standards. Tankstead was a legitimate challenger for the lineal championship.
Hey, Darius, were you one of them people who just believe that Darius?
Hold on, one at a time. Let's keep going. Let's let Doctor respond, guys.
Are you one of them people who believe that?
Battle. Let EJ answer that question, bro. Let EJ answer that question.
No, it seems to me everyone's just on against like the fight doctor, and it's just like he's answering everyone's question. But the bottom line, he's trying to say the established, talking about the strength of the lineage. So he's talking about Michael Spinks, who beat Larry Holmes twice. That's stronger than a lot of guys. Beating Larry Holmes undefeated. First off, he beat Larry Holmes undefeated, and then he beat him again in the rematch. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, he was I know obviously we're talking about lineage, but you have to factor in that this guy is one of the best light heavyweight champions ever. Like, but what we're talking about is the caliber of the opponent. Like Rocky Marciano's reign of heavyweight champion, people thought that was weak. They were saying Joe Lewis's reign was weak. But if you look at the caliber of the guys who were there, they were the best guys available in his era. So you only beat the best guy. All these guys are great fighters. The bottom line is that he reeled out a good list the lineage of the heavyweight of the champions past and present. And he's got a good memory to remember that. That's not even easy to remember. But you guys are still hacking at him to look at that. I understand. And that question about Archie Moore, obviously, like he's thinking something. I don't think he'd know that one. I know McGregor would know that one, and Beats would know as well. But bro, you gotta understand, yeah, like innit, we're just debating. All of you are right. There's no wrong answer. You understand? Like basically, you're arguing the same point.
There is real answers.
There's no way. I don't see that. I don't see what you're saying. What you're saying? What you're saying?
George Foreman fighting Crawford Grimsley and lose 7
Well, that's. I think that comes down to what we said: quality. They're not all defenses, not all wins, etc.
One minute. I'm not talking about the weak defenses. I'm talking about the caliber guys when they stepped up. You know, George Foreman beat bloody undefeated Joe Frazier back in the day. You know that already. You know, George, because he takes a softie, because he takes one a softie, what, you're gonna downgrade him because he takes a softie? Come on, man.
No. I was merely alliterating the point that no matter what belt we're talking about, no matter what, you know what I mean, whatever kind of championship you want to talk about, not all. When it comes down to the real meat of the matter, and Fight Doctor agreed with me, was the quality of opposition.
Well, that's what I just said. That's what I just
pointed out. I think that is where the rubber hits the road here. Where you know what I mean, where we get to some sort of objective truth.
But at the end of the day, this all roads leads to Joshua and Wilder, and that's what basically where it's getting to, isn't it? All roads leads to Joshua and Wilder.
DJ, no,
please don't bring that up.
No, we're having a nice conversation here, EJ, about everything but that.
Let me have
Let's be real. That's where it's going, right? End of the day, have one champion.
And we had a whole hour conversation with Terence Crawford, and nobody mentioned Spence once. Nobody mentioned AJ. It was beautiful, EJ. And look at what you done.
Hey, let me. I have a question for Fight Dog. Hey, Fight Dog,
why you asking Fight Doctor? Why you ask someone else? Why
no.
Ask
me the question, bro. Ask me the question.
No, listen. What's up? What's your question? What's your question?
Real quick. So look, check this out. I'm looking in the chat right now, right? And a couple of people are saying that this conversation is going in circles and it's getting repetitive. Exactly. So you guys need to make
okay. Look, this is what I'm gonna do. Guys. Hey, guys, this is what I'm gonna do. Hey, guys, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask McGregor. I'm gonna ask McGregor the question because I don't want to keep singling Fight Doctor out here. So I'm gonna ask McGregor the question. Okay, so McGregor. Okay, I'm gonna ask you personally. Were you one of them people that just felt like, and maybe the chat can answer this too. Were you one of them people around the time when Roy Jones was fighting that felt that Darius Michael-Zuski was the real 175, like best guy at 175 because he was the lineal champion compared to Roy Jones?
Good question.
I wasn't around then.
Now you know you were.
Okay, look. Can I answer that question?
You're asking me retrospectively, I have a different answer, but I wasn't talking about.
Look, can I answer that question? Because I was actually around to see all that.
Hey, McGregor, you can't answer the question, but you can pull it off like at the turn of the century. You should be able to answer that question. You should know that.
I can answer the question in terms of retrospectively, but he said at the time. I wasn't watching at the time.
Can I answer that question?
Talking over each other, man. Hold on. Battle.
Get control real quick.
I had to leave. Hold on, Phil. Hold on. Battle. You asked the question. Was it to the panel?
Answer the question.
Battle.
I said I can't answer it. I can't answer it legitimately.
Hold on. I'm gonna moderate it. I got it. Battle. We've been doing it. Keep doing it. Battle. Who was you asking the question to? The panel or to a person?
McGregor.
I originally asked it to McGregor, but since he said he couldn't answer it, let's just put it over to Fight Doctor.
Legitimately, I can't answer it legitimately, EJ. I can't answer it legitimately.
I'm just saying, like, you see that one? We'll pass it on to Beast. Let Beast answer it.
Fight Doctor. He sent it to Fight Doctor. Beast ain't on. Fight Doctor. He sent
okay. Okay, so I was actually around to see all of that. And now here's the deal with Roy Jones and Darius Mikulszewski. So now, first of all, Roy Jones has never claimed the lineal title in any division he's ever competed in. Not middleweight, not super middleweight, and certainly not light heavyweight. Now, here's the case where you have Roy Jones running around with 4 or 5 title belts, passing himself off as the undisputed, quote-unquote, champion at 175, whereas the real champion in that division was Darius Mikushevsky. Now, the reason why that fight didn't happen.
Tell everyone why. Tell everyone why.
I'll be more than happy. I'll be more than happy to tell you why. Listen, the reason why that fight didn't happen is because Ray Jones is a diva and a prima donna, and he wanted everything his way. The fight has to be.
No, that's what I mean. That's not what I mean.
Let him go. EJ,
I am T. I'm just trying to explain. Virgil Hill, right? Virgil Hill lost to Michael Chesky is what I'm trying to tell you, yeah. And the Virgil Hill before that, I think it was vacant because of Hearns. But between Hearns and then Virgil picked it up, and then they made him Virgil Hill the unit under the lineal champion, and then obviously Darren Missy beat him. So that's why at that time they called Darren Mikushevsky, even though he had the WBO belt, yeah. Actually, Virgil had to vacate the belt. Sorry, he got all the belts. He had to vacate the belt. But when he fought Darren Mikushevsky, he only had one belt, which is WBO, and obviously Darren Mikushevsky beat him. Roy Jones picked up all the other belts against Mike McCallum and all the other guys, but they said he had to fight Darren Mikushevsky and he wasn't the champion.
That wasn't the question.
Hold on.
That wasn't the question. The question was.
Hold on. All right, well, we off on this one. Somebody.
Can I say something? Yeah,
hold on, Dan. Somebody in the chat asked a good question about lineage. And it applies to today's fighter, so we don't have to go backwards and nobody got to Google or none of that. It applies to today's fighter. I think the question came from Natural. He said Tony Harrison versus Jamel Charlo versus Jared Hurd would be for lineal. And then somebody else, how do y'all feel about Jared Hurd since he's beat the two guys? And they be how y'all feel about him if somebody claimed him lineal champion?
You got to kill the conversation, innit? Fuck it. No, we was getting.
No, y'all talking over each other. And we've been doing a good job of not doing that because I don't want to. The people in the chat can't hear it.
Look, off the top of my head, to answer your question, Low Place, I would say Jarrett Hurd has the strongest claim to being the man at 154.
But is it a strong claim? Or what matters is a strong claim.
The lineage is broken. But the lineage is broken, isn't it? Yes, it was Floyd, and then he retired, right?
Yeah. So you feel like if he's already beat Tony Harrison, how would you rate the division 1, 2, 3, and 4 with Harrison, Hurd, Charlo, Munguia? How would you rate that?
If talking about how would I order the champs, I'd probably have to put Hurd first.
Okay,
sure.
Who would be?
I'd put Harrison second, and then Munguia because he's inexperienced.
Munguia third, and you would put Charlo under Munguia because Charlo.
Well, yeah, because he's not a champion right now. Yeah, exactly. Right, I'm not even sure if I put Charlo 4.
What about without a champion? What about if you're not ranking without the titles and you're ranking on? Does Charlo have better wins than Munguia?
Well, if you're just looking at the resume, of course he's got better wins than Munguia. Okay. He beat Trout, for example.
So without ranking belts, how do you rate the division 1 through 4 on those 4 fights? Because those are, of course, the top 4 fighters.
Well, if you're going to use that argument,
I'm going to end up dragging. I might even drag Lara into the top 4, maybe.
Well,
I don't know. You know what I mean? That gets messy.
That's fine. That's fine.
If we're going to use that argument, if we're going to use that argument, then Manny Pacquiao's the number 1 guy at welterweight because he's got the far better resume than anybody in that weight class.
Yeah, so that's a good point, Dan.
But does he have a reason? But no, we're using 54 for a reason because it doesn't attach to 147. We're going.
But Dan point is still germane. If we just go off best resume, that might be a little bit what's the word I'm looking for, like a little bit of an optical illusion.
But there's nobody at 47 that's like Jaime Munguia, undefeated.
Well, wait. The question is that.
And there's nobody at 54 like Pacquiao.
No, but some of the best resumes some of the guys with the best resumes at 154 don't have any business making an argument right now for saying they're the man at 154.
Exactly.
Like Lara's got one of the best resumes. Lara's got one of the best resumes still, but he can't be the man right now.
And I didn't want to throw Lara out. So Doc, go ahead. Without top 5, we got 5 real junior middleweights right now. It may be more than that, but these 5 really have a claim for at least the top 4 spots.
Hurd's first in terms of claim to be the man.
All right, that's what we're gonna do on the panel. We'll go through the panel and ask you the top 5 154.
Just ask everybody who's number 1 first. Let's establish who's number 1. I think Hurd's number 1 at 154.
Battle, who you got number 1? I'm gonna go down the line. Battle, who you got number 1 at 54?
I got Jared Hurd.
Dan,
or does anyone disagree with Hurd at being the man is the man at 154?
Yeah, if you
he's the top guy. He's not the champion, but he's the top guy at 154.
All right,
that's basically what we're saying.
There's no champion, just rating the top 5. If anybody disagree that Jared Hurd is number 1 rated at 54, say something.
Yeah, I disagree.
All right,
Hamid, hold on, time out, Paul. Hamid, do not play no sound bites. Do not play nobody else's video. No, it's not funny.
It's not funny.
If you feel it's funny, I had to boot you now. I'm asking you not to do it. We're having a good chat.
You might as well boot him now because he can't help himself. Right.
Come on, bro, yo. All right, yo. What's
To this day.
Hamid, you said Jared Hurd is not number 1. Are you trolling or you think he's not?
So wait, what do you mean by number 1 is the clear
number 1 at 154? Who's the man at 154 right now?
He's got 2 belts. He's got 2 belts, but
who's the man?
We're just asking who's the man.
Out of these 5, these are the consensus 5. Hamid, hold on, EJ. These are the consensus 5. Hamid, you got consensus 5: Hurd, Lara, Munguia, Charlo, Harrison. Who's number 1 out of those people right now?
I think it's Hurd, or either you could say it's vacant. Do you mean by
okay? Well, you go Hurd. We're just asking a quick question.
We're simple.
All right.
Number 1, we're keeping it simple. Hold on, man. We're keeping it simple.
Number one, you gotta say Hurd then, because he's got more belts. And
all right, we good. Now we go to number 2. Out of those 5, who y'all got at number 2? Fight Doctor, let me know who you got at number 2. Lara,
I would have to make Harrison because he has the win over Charlo, and he's looked the best. I mean, outside of Jared Hurd, he's looked the best in the division.
Okay.
He has the best win in the division recently. Right. So Harrison. I would put Harrison at number 2.
All right.
Actually, I think Hurd, Harrison, either one of those guys could be number 1 or number 2.
No, you can't put. You could put Harrison at 1 because he got knocked out by Hurd already. I don't believe.
I think you could argue Munguia is number 2 because Harrison, arguably, that was a bad decision.
Yo, let's just go with who everybody thinks number 2.
Hold on. It's on Phil, Hamid. I call Phil. Phil, who you got number 2?
Go.
Okay, so and since we're going, I am going to put Lara at number 2.
Okay. All right. Doc, number 2.
I agree.
All right.
He was way more competitive than Harrison against Hurd.
All right.
I think you could argue that is Munguia because if we're gonna go by what they've done lately,
if you want, that's an argument. My main point is I put Lara ahead of Harrison. What you're saying is that you could go back and forth on that.
Who's number 2, Hamid?
So I think it's Munguia. You could say Munguia or Harrison. I personally put Munguia because he's beaten more. He's won more title fights, even though he did win the belt off Saddam Ali, but he has defended it a couple of times. Harrison won it in a controversial fashion. If he defeats Charlo again, then I think you got to give it to number 2.
EJ, who you got number 2? Lara, Munguia, Harrison, and Charlo.
Energy changed. As soon as I come into the hangout, the energy changed, but it's quiet right down, isn't it? Anyway, where was I now? No, man. It's who it is. It's the Hurd, man. He got 2 belts in there.
No, Hurd's number 1. Now we're
on This is number 2. Who's number 2?
Yeah, who's number 2?
How many belts is there around? There's usually 4.
No, we're not counting the belts. We just saying
overall. Who's number 2?
Give a name.
It's 2 other belts around.
Harrison and Munguia. It's Harrison and Munguia got the other belts.
Yeah.
And then we got who? Charlo and Lara in the argument.
By the strength of the opponents, you'd have to say Harrison, but most people would say that Jaime should beat him. But by the strength of the opponents, I'd go with Harrison, innit? So Harrison number 2, and then
you got Harrison.
By the strength of the opponents.
So right away, to me, we're pretty much unanimous in terms of who's number 1. But after that, it gets people.
I got a question.
Opinions all over the place.
Hold on, let's let everybody else get because there's other people on the panel. We got
we still
Dan.
got ones
We
left.
got Dan.
My
I'm
bad.
going down the line. Dan, who's number 2? Lara, Munguia, Harrison, or Charlo?
Well, we all agree consensusly that Jared Hurd is number 1, so there's no dispute there. Jared Hurd number 1. Number 2 is Arizona Lara, and number 3, I'm going to say Jaime Mejia. And let me tell you,
Yeah, that's true.
wait, hold up.
Yeah, Lara's good, man.
Hold up. Yeah, let me tell you why.
Let him finish. Let him
Jaime
finish.
Mejia.
Let him finish,
Let me
man.
tell you
Let him finish.
Harrison. Let me tell you why. Yes, Tony Harrison got that Charlo win. That's a good win. However, Munguia has one up on Harrison because he has beaten more world champions than Harrison. He has. Okay, you go down to Saddam Ali, then you have Ali and Smith. I'm not saying those guys are great champions, but they are good. They were champions. So, and Munguia is under.
You're done. You're cutting
The only way Harrison.
Hold on 1 second.
I'm sorry.
Harrison defeated Usyk Smith, Dan. That's 2 world champions. If you want to count Liam.
Usyk Smith. Okay. Are you telling me? Wait, hold up. Are you telling me Usyk Smith?
I'm just arguing with you that Liam Smith ain't no better of a champion than Usyk Smith. I just have to say that. They both got the.
Wait. Okay, Usyk Smith got K9 Bundridge. I'll give you that. But who else did he beat?
No one.
I'll give you
Carlos Molina.
Who did Liam Smith ever beat?
Liam Smith beat the guy from the Contender, and he beat someone else as well.
That was it. Nothing much at all. Nothing much to nothing at all. That's why
Yeah. Let me say this. I feel like
you don't have to explain why. You just pick. I mean, if you want to give a short explanation, that's cool. Who's your number 2? Battle. Who your number 2?
My number 2 is Harrison, but I just want to say this. I'm gonna keep it quick. As far as who's everybody going to pick, it's always going to come down to whether people see quality over quantity. Like Doc said earlier, if you have one win and you see that as a bigger win, you're going to have Tony Harrison.
Let it ride. We're gonna let it ride because we got number 3 now, and we're gonna go back to the front of the line. So Phil, who did you say was 1 and 2?
I had Hurd as number 1, and I have Lara as number 2.
Now give you number 3: Charlo, Harrison, or Munguia.
Yeah. For my number 3 spot, I am going to have to put Harrison in the number 3 spot.
All right, Doc said.
I'm torn between Munguia and Harrison. I don't believe in Bobby Charlo. I never have. But
let's go. Let's give it to us.
Yeah, I said Munguia earlier, so I got to go Munguia.
All right, he was number 3 with Munguia. Hamed, you picked. Who was your number 1 and number 2?
Head number 1, Munguia number 2. Number 3, I'm gonna have to go with Harrison because he just beat Charlo. But if Charlo wins, then Charlo will overtake him.
All right, EJ, number 1, number 2. Who did you have?
Oh yeah, I like. You know what that made me think? You know, I was gonna pick Lara because Lara. You know why I gonna pick Lara? Because most people think Lara beat her. So you know what? On that fact, yeah, Lara's number. The Robbers that got her number 1. Lara number 2. And then after that, we got Harrison, and then you have
No. Just stop at 3. Just stop at 3. Harrison, you're number 3. We're gonna go down the line. We're gonna come back to you for your 4th one.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Yeah. We're gonna let the whole panel rain them down.
Their opponent's resume, then why can't we include Saddam Ali? Because
Hold on. No, Dan. We talking about people who Saddam Ali not even fighting at 5'4" no more.
Stop it, Dan.
All right. So who did you have at 1 and 2, Dan? Who'd you have at 1 and 2, Dan?
1 and 2, I have Hurd and Lara.
Hurd and Lara. Give me your number 3.
I have Munguia.
Munguia. All right, Battle. It's on you. Your number 1 and number 2 was.
I agree with Dan for my number 3 spot.
So what was your number 1 and 2?
My number 1 was Jared Hurd. My number 2 was Tony Harrison.
Okay, Jared Hurd and Tony Harrison. All right, now back to Phil for your number 4 spot. Tell us your number 1, 2, and 3 first.
Number 1 was Jared Hurd. Number 2, Lara. Number 3, Harris. Number 4, Charlo.
Okay. All right. So automatically Munguia is his last man out. Okay, that's respectable. Doc, tell us your whole ranking.
Yeah. Charlo gets the shit in. It's Harrison 4 for me.
Okay, so Doc got Hurd, Lara, Munguia, Harrison, Charlo. Okay, all right. See, it's a big ass mix up. Hamed, tell us your whole ranking.
All right, I got Hurd 1. Number 2 was Munguia. Number 3, Harrison. Number 4 is gonna be Charlo, obviously.
How far we getting down?
Hold on. Who's number 5 then? So you said
only
Lara,
5, EJ. Don't worry.
Lara's behind Charlo.
Lara gotta be number 5.
Lara number 5. All right, EJ. What's your first 2 that you had?
Man, I gotta think. So I think it was Lara and
you had
Harris.
You had her, Lara, and then you just said
Harrison.
You said okay. So EJ said Hurd, Lara, Harrison. Now separate between Munguia and Charlo. Who you got first?
That's a hard one. I'll go with who did Charlo win the belt of? Damn,
Ronus Monterosian.
Keenan Bundred. Wasn't it Keenan Bundred?
No, it was vacant. It was vacant. He wanted out John Jackson.
Wasn't it?
It was John Jackson. John Jackson was vacant.
Ronus Monterosian, I believe. This is. I'll give you his resume. Ronus Monterosian. Hold on. You got Monterosian on his resume. You got Erickson Lubin. You got Austin Trout. You got John Jackson on his resume.
He's him.
He won it. It was a vacant. It was a vacant title in John Jackson.
You have him at 4. You have Charlo at 4, EJ, and then you got Munguia at 5. Okay. Dan, who'd you have 1, 2, and 3?
1, 2, and 3. I had Hurd. I have what's called Lara number 2. Then I had Munguia number 3.
So who's 4 for you?
4th is I have to go with Charlo, even though he lost. And the reason why I say that is because Charlo still has a bit of a better resume than Harrison. So Harrison's number 5.
Oh man, that's a curveball. All right, battle. Who was your 1, 2, and 3?
I again agree with Dan.
You gotta see the names.
All right, now I'm gonna tell you the rings, and I'll top it out with mine. The ring has Jared Hurd 1. They have Lara at number 2. They have Jaime Munguia at number 3. They have Harrison at number 4, and they have Charlo at number 5. For me personally, I gotta put Jaime Munguia in the back. He hasn't fought nobody, and he's over on the side of the street where I like Jaime, but he ain't fought nobody, and that just is what it is. At number 1, of course, Jared Hurd. At number 2, that's where it gets tough. You know, at number 2, I'm gonna have to say
Lara, man.
I'm honestly gonna have to say
off the straight.
He's gonna say Harrison.
I'm gonna have to say Lara. I'm gonna have to say Hurd, Lara, Harrison, Charlo, Munguia. I gotta be fair. I didn't even put Lara in there. Let me see what the chat gotta say. Let me see what the chat gonna say. Unrivaled McGregor says Hurd, Lara, Harrison, Munguia, Charlo. Fat Apple said I don't rate 154 as a division anyway. I disagree. At the chat, we got
division. So why are we even asking him? Go ahead.
Let me read something. Jay Perez says I got Hurd, Harrison, Charlo, Munguia, Lara. That's tough. That's tough to throw Lara back there. Oh man, Fat Apples, Hurd, Lara, Munguia. Neutral says Hurd, Harrison, Lara, Charlo, Munguia. We can pull other divisions in here now. I like the way if y'all want to pull 147 in here now, I'm pretty sure that shit gonna get going. So
I think go 160.
Hold on. Ahmed, go and get your point. Dan, I'll go to you next. Go ahead, Ahmed.
I think 160 would be better than 147, man, because 160 is kind of open as well.
We can do both. I mean, we on here. Dan, what was you gonna say?
If we're gonna rate 147, I know this is gonna be it's gonna cause a big argument here. Wait, here's the thing. If we're gonna do that, are we gonna use the same ranking criteria that we're doing right now? We're gonna put in guys who are not champions. We're gonna put them in based off their resumes, correct?
Oh yeah. I mean, if they deserve it based on what they did recently. And I mean, you gotta rate the division like a boxing fan and like a person that got some sense. So we're gonna start it out now. We'll start with 147, and then we can do 160 next. So
but you go reverse order. So last time the guys who were last, they could.
I can only do it down the line, so I don't miss it. So I'm gonna start with Phil. All right, Phil. For 147, and I'm not gonna give you a list of people because maybe it's open. I mean. You got Spence, you got Crawford, you got Thurman, you got Porter, you got Danny Garcia, you got Pacquiao. All right, so you name who you feel is number one. Let's go number 1 at 147. Phil got Thurman. You said right?
Oh,
Yeah, I
man.
got. If we going by resume, I got Thurman first.
It don't got to be about resume. It just got to be about what you think of. What? Let's not put it on opinion, but have something in your mind when you make
Back it up by facts. Back
that
it
is
up by facts.
concrete, some kind of concrete reason. So, Mr. Doc, your number one at 47.
You want me to back it up by reason? I picked Thurman first.
Yeah, you said resume. I'm just telling people it don't have to be on resume.
Doing resume.
Okay, no, I was. Mine was more so of a question.
It could be on strength and performance, strength of schedule at that division, and that type of thing.
Because Pacquiao has a better resume.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what people feel. Damn, we're gonna see what people feel. Hold on.
Pacquiao then, man. There's too much body work.
Okay, so that's a curveball. Pacquiao for Doc. How many?
Hold on. Damn. I'm not trying to interrupt nobody. I'm trying to figure out criteria with grading on. That's my question. Are we doing it based on resume or what?
Like I said, Phil, it just like it wasn't on resume at 54 because we didn't. Some people didn't punish Lara for losing recently and losing before. Some people did. It's just on some kind of concrete evidence that you got. He beat so and so recently.
So yeah, it could be whatever you want. It could be eye test. It could be your resume. It could be strength of schedule. Whatever.
Okay.
It just has to be something logical.
So Doc,
in that case, I got Pacquiao first.
All right, we picked Pacquiao at 1. Doc said Pacquiao at 1, correct?
Yes.
All right, Hamid, who you got at 1?
All right, I'm gonna go Sean Porter number 1 because I know Thurman beat him, but Thurman in 2 years all he's done is beat Josecito Lopez. I think Porter's been the most consistent, so I got Porter 1.
EJ, who you got? Y'all remember y'all list. Remember y'all list too. EJ, who you got?
What, number 1?
Welterweight.
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao.
Ooh, what? Is this a sweep? No, we get 3-1. Dan, who you got?
Manny Pacquiao number 1.
Battle, who you got?
Manny Pacquiao.
I'm gonna say Earl Spence. I don't know. I'm gonna just let y'all wait. I'm gonna say Earl Spence. All right, here we go. I don't know what we're rating Manny on. Recently, I'm not just rating myself personally the strength of your schedule throughout your career. That wouldn't be fair to everybody who hasn't had a 40-year-old career.
My reasoning was body work, and he still had a solid, strength of schedule.
He got cheated in Australia, and Manny still that guy.
We on the number 2 or what?
Someone's got a highway going in the background.
Let's start it. Let's pull the number 2s in. Phil, who you got at number 2?
I'm gonna go Sean Porter number 2.
All right, Doc.
Yeah, I agree, Sean Porter. I almost thought about putting him ahead of Pacquiao. So no, yeah, Porter number 2.
Hamid, who you got number 2?
All right, number 2, I gotta give it Pacquiao then. Yeah, Pacquiao.
EJ, number 2.
Yeah, it's Crawford, man.
Dan, number 2.
I like my boy Terrence, but I gotta go with Thurman.
Battle.
Jamal James.
Trolling. Come on, Battle. Give me a number 2.
Keith Thurman.
All right, number 2, I would say because of Keith Thurman's layoff, I would go Sean Porter, number 2. And here we go. Phil, your number 3.
My number 3, man, I put Porter at 2. I'm gonna throw Thurman at 3 only because of the layoff. That's the only reason why I don't have him at number 2.
He got a better resume than Errol Spence.
So you went. Let me get it right. You went Manny, you went Sean, and then you went Keith, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go, Doc. Where you at?
Terrence Crawford.
All right, number 3, Terrence Crawford. Hamid, number 3.
All right, so I got 1 second. I got Porter 1, 2 Pacquiao.
Hammed's out the highway there, man. He played out the street.
I got number 3. I'm gonna have to give it to Spence then. Yeah, Spence.
All right, Dan, number 3.
Number 3, I got Crawford. Number 3.
You just said Crawford at 2. Then no, you said Thurman at 2. Okay,
I say I love my boy Terrence, but I gotta go with Thurman number 2, but I'm got Terrence number 3. Yeah.
Battle number 3.
Porter.
So name your list for me, Battle, so far.
Number 1, Manny Pacquiao. Number 2, Keith Thurman. Number 3, Sean Porter.
All right, C's jumped in the chat, and he's at the very end. Give me your top 3 welterweights, C's.
In order?
Yeah. Number 1 and number 3. Number 1 and number 3.
I have Bud number 1. Of course, he doesn't have the resume at 147, so I'm just going off of skill and the fact that no one wants to fight him. Number 2, Keith Thurman, without a doubt. You can even argue Keith Thurman is number 1, but I got Keith Thurman number 2. And number 3, I have Sean Porter.
Okay, all right. And my number 1 was Earl. My number 2 was Sean. And my number 3 is Keith Thurman. Fill in that number 4 spot.
Number 4, I have to. I mean, this number 4 spot is tough because, I mean, I hold Bud and EJ in the same regard at the weight class. So, just based on who's been in the weight class longer, I'm going to go with EJ.
Number 4, Earl Spence. So, Doc, number 4.
Spence. What have you done for me lately, Keith?
Hamid. Number 4.
Okay, so I got 1. Let me just go through one sec. I got 1 Porter, 2 Pacquiao, 3 Spence. All right, number 4. I'm gonna have to go with Crawford. I would have put Thurman higher, but he hasn't done anything in 2 years. So
give me your 1. Hold on. Give me Crawford. Your 1 and 2 again. You said Pacquiao.
One.
He's got Porter. He's got Porter.
Porter, Pacquiao, and then Spence 3, 4 Crawford.
Okay, EJ number 4.
Hey, put your top down, man. Put your top down, man.
Oh, number 4? Yeah. Number 4, I got what's his name? Thurman.
Thurman at number 4. Then
you know why? He's look at his performance. See, the thing is, you got on his. I know he's got a resume, but look at his performance, bro. Look at him.
Who your top 3, EJ? Who your top 3 again?
Manny. Manny. Yeah. Then I got Crawford, and then I got who did I say was that? Manny, Crawford.
Spence.
And then
Spence.
Porter.
Okay.
I got Crawford. No. I said Manny. What were we at, number 3 or number 4 now?
We at 4. You got Manny. I think
you didn't ask me number 3. You didn't ask me number 3. You skipped
right
by me.
Yeah, I did. I went to all y'all.
No, you didn't. You skipped right by me because I'm
give me your top 4 then. Give me your top 4.
All right. So my top 4. All right. 1 second. Let me pull it. All right. So first one I got Manny Pacquiao. Second one I got Terrence Crawford. Then number 3, I'd have to go. What's his name? I'd have to go Spence. And number 4, I'll go Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman ran against fucking Jose Lopez, bro. I can't put him up.
Are you rating Crawford?
Yeah.
You rating Crawford whole career, or you rating what he's done at welterweight?
Crawford's the heir apparent, bro. Like Crawford's the heir apparent. You know what I'm saying? You know what time it is, yeah?
Let him know.
Here we go. It's Dan the Man. Hold on. All right. Dan the Man, number 4. Let me know.
Number 4, I got Sean Porter, number 4.
All right, who was your top 3 so far?
Top 3, Pacquiao. 2nd, Thurman. 3rd, Crawford. 4th, Porter.
4 Porter. Battle number 4.
Number 4, I would have to pick Terrence Crawford, but if I'm being completely honest, it's a complete toss-up just for the simple fact that I don't see nobody beating Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford except for each other.
All right, C's number 4.
Number 4, Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao.
My number 4, I gotta go with Danny Swift Garcia, bruh. This guy's face the best.
All right, it's on me now. My number 5. Hold on.
I'm just gonna say the guy's faced the best. I haven't heard the name, so since I said him first, I only said because he's faced the best in the division, and ain't nobody blew him out. And I gotta respect that somehow, some way. And he's been a titleist. But Phil, your number 5, the final rated fighter, Phil.
My final and fighter that falls at the 5th spot is going to be Terrence Crawford. So let me go through my list real quick. I had Pacquiao number 1. I got Pacquiao number 1 because I still think at his age, I still think he could possibly beat any of the top welterweights if he's on his A game and they don't have a good night. I'm going with Sean Porter, number 2, for the simple fact that I just like his consistency throughout the division. And I like his body of work, even with his wins and losses. I'm going with Thurman, number 3, for the simple fact that Thurman's resume is great, and he's beat Sean Porter, who I have at number 2, and he also beat low place number 4 guy with Danny Garcia. I'm going EJ at number 4 for the simple fact that, I mean, he's just a hard-nosed opponent. His technical skills are excellent, and he's been campaigning in the division for quite some time, and he's respectable. If somebody put him at number 1, I would respect that. I'm going with Bud at number 5 for the simple fact that Bud is the newcomer to the division, but skill for skill, he can match up with any of these fighters. I just need to see him a couple more times in the division for me to put him in that top 3.
All right, now Doc, I want you to do the same thing. You give your 5 and your reasoning for them being your 5. I like what Phil did, so go ahead, Doc. Your last one, and then your reasoning for your ranking.
Well, see, I had Thurman 5 then.
Thurman 5. All right, what? Yeah. So your one guy was Pacquiao, correct?
Yeah.
Reasoning
body
for
of work, and he's the combination of how strong his body of work is, and how it's still a really good strength of schedule. Even if you want to say it's not, absolutely the best, it's been pretty damn solid.
Okay.
So it all kind of carries together. And then I had Porter number 2 for similar reasons, strength of schedule. But to me, he's just been the most. I think Med said he's been the most consistent.
Going with the red.
And then see, we had Crawford, obviously eye test mainly, in my opinion, from my perspective. Spence, to me, just a step behind. Doesn't move his head enough, maybe. And he needs better. A couple more good wins. The Brook win is good. Thurman, it's mainly he belongs in the conversation, but it just did too long of inactivity and almost getting knocked out by Josecito Lopez. Diaby, as I did, I noticed Diaby in the chat. He put his list. He put Josecito Lopez.
Yeah, I saw that. All right. Hamid, give your reasoning on your 5.
Right. So 1 was Porter, because I think he's been the most consistent and he's beaten the most champions as well. Number 2, Pacquiao, because I think based on accomplishment, and I think I don't think he's been that bad as well. He's beaten a lot of top 10 guys. So Pacquiao 2. 3, I gave it Spence, because I think Crawford is not much involvement.
Breaking up, Hamid.
You broke up there, Hamid. Try again. You broke up, bro.
So I gotta say Spence ahead of Crawford, because he has beaten Brook, and I think that wasn't. I don't think that Crawford fought. I just think Crawford has been very impressive coming into welterweight. Number 5, I'll say Thurman. You could put any Garcia there, but Thurman is back and he did beat Garcia, so Thurman 5.
All right, EJ, your last one, and then your reasoning for your ranking.
Yo, my ranking, the best ranking of everyone's. Everyone knows that, but it's cool, man. Yeah, number 5, I got Sean Porter number 5, man. Yeah, Sean Porter number 5, Thurman number 4. Who did I say number 3? I think I had Pacquiao's number 1, Crawford number 2. Who did I have number 3? Shit, can't remember.
You had to have Spence.
No respect for Ram Man.
Oh, Spence, did I put Spence there? Maybe I had Spence, yeah. But my ranking, my reason for my ranking is just the level of guys and this Manny. It's like if Floyd was still in the division, right? Even if he come at a time, if Floyd came in the division, where would you rank him? Yo, who that? Hamid?
Interview, bro.
Yo, hey, all I'm saying is that if Floyd came in the division, Manny's still there and he still beat the shit out of Broner, bro. Bastard up Broner, still generating that dude. That's why I got him number 1, man. Listen, Crawford been dying to have that match. I know Spence and Finn won that match, but that's the match that everyone wants. You want to try and knock off Manny. If you knock off Manny, you get the glory. You know what I'm saying? He's still kind of that guy that most people consensus they got money. I know they've got him probably ranked on the Ring Magazine low, but I'd put him there. You know what I'm saying? That's what I put him.
Since he said that,
no one, you guys even mentioned Mikey. That Mikey could even possibly.
Yeah, we're gonna get to him. We're gonna get to him. I got a question at the end of this. 2 good questions. So we got on the Ring Magazine. I'm gonna say this before I go to Dan. If Dan's ready, I know he muted, but give me a second. We had Earl Spence number 1, Terrence Crawford number 2, Keith Thurman number 3, Sean Porter 4, and Manny 5, Danny Garcia 6. So everybody's basically named the 6 guys. Well, I named one guy that's, we had 5 that everybody named except for me, and I named the 6th guy in my top 5. So Dan, I know you muted. If you around, give me your top 5 fully and your reasoning for that. If not, Battle, you jump in.
Yeah, but give me a second. You go ahead and skip me. I'll come right back.
All right,
you
Battle.
Skip me and go back down the line.
All right, Battle. Your top 5 and your reasoning for it.
Number 1, Manny Pacquiao, done the most in the division. Number 2, Keith Thurman, did the second most in the division. Likewise, Sean Porter. Crawford and Spence, toss up because they can beat anybody except each other.
Okay, so that was short and concise. So Afro Latin Caesar, give me your 5 and your reasoning for your 5.
Sir, like I said, I had Bud Crawford, number 1. Not based off of his fights at 147 because he just got there, but I'm going off of skill and basically the fact that no one really wants to fight him. So there's obviously something there. When there's smoke, there's fire. And I have, and like I said, I have Keith Thurman number 2. You can easily say that he's number 1. The reason why I didn't put him number 1 because he's been missing in action for about 2 years almost. I don't know, maybe it might have not been 2 years, but I think it's around that. Number 3, I had Sean Porter, just for the simple fact he's the common denominator of the welterweight division. The welterweight division currently, this division is basically built off the back of Sean Porter. He's basically PBC's workhorse at 147. And after that, I had Manny Pacquiao. Just, I have Manny Pacquiao just because it's Manny Pacquiao. We all boxing fans. We know who he is and we know what he's done. But I know he's not going to fight any of the 3 guys that I named. He's probably just trying to fight Floyd, so I'm not about to put him like at the top, especially currently. And but I'll put him at number 4. And number 5 is Errol Spence, man down Errol Spence. Even though he doesn't have the accomplishments and these, I still will put him I'm still going to put him in the top 5 over Danny Garcia. That's no disrespect to Danny Garcia. But like I said, I'll put Spence there just for the simple fact that he's undefeated. I don't like the route he's taking. He's fighting a 135-pounder. You can say, well, yeah, Mikey Garcia once fought at 140. He had 2 fights at 140, but currently he's the champion at what division? 135. His last fight was at what division? 135. He's a 135-pounder, and he's going up 2 weight classes. But still, even with that said, I'll give Spence the benefit of the doubt. So that's my list. Number 1, Bud. Number 2, Thurman. Number 3, Sean Porter, the underrated Sean Porter. Number 4, I had Manny Pacquiao, but he's not going any higher than that. And number 5, I have a man down, Errol Spence. So that's my 5, man. But I'm going with Bud Crawford at the top just because he's got the skills. And aesthetically, what I see visually when I see him fight, he's better than everyone else. Nobody want to fight him. They'll take the easier route.
Number 5, I had Terrence Crawford after Danny Garcia. For my middle men at 3 and 4, I went Thurman. I put him, he should be at number 1 if everything would have worked out for him. But 2 guys came and outdid him on his layoff, which was Porter beating Garcia. Porter and Thurman went head to head, and they were neck and neck. They should be at number 1 and number 2, but they kind of got outdone. Errol Spence came behind Sean Porter and beat the guy that beat him. Errol Spence came behind Manny Pacquiao and showed him how to stop Chris Algieri. He came behind Danny Garcia with Lamont Peterson and stopped Lamont Peterson. Danny Garcia, I had to put him at number 4 because I got to rate the level of competition, and the way he lost was close losses. I can't put Pacquiao in the top 5 based on him being an all-time great. That's a thing in itself. He lost to a cherry pick, and then he went on to fight Jesse Vargas and Tim Bradley. He's standing on the side of the street. That's pretty easy for him and not mixing it up. Terrence Crawford went behind Manny Pacquiao. Regardless if I think that Jeff Horn was better or not, weight drained or not, he got the victory. Then he beat Benavidez. I could argue Pacquiao Crawford, but the fact that Pacquiao didn't take that fight, I'm not gonna hold it against Bud if he got a WBO. But I can't put Bud over the PBC welterweights right now. And the question I want to ask, since Mikey Garcia is coming up in the division, if all right, nobody say he's not gonna do it, nobody go off and it ain't gonna happen. Let's just give a clean if. And there's another question after this. For the panel, if Mikey Garcia beats Errol Spence, fuck it. When he beats Errol Spence, since we saying there's no other way, when he beats him, where do you rate Mikey Garcia among these welterweights? Just on your list, we're going to go back with Phil. I think Phil's still here. Phil, what spot will Mikey Garcia take if he beat Errol Spence?
Well, if Mikey comes in and defeats Errol Spence, I had Manny, and then I will say I will put him. I throw him in probably the number 4th spot.
Doc.
After that, crazy.
Doc, what would you?
Yeah, he's definitely taking 5th in mine. If Urban gonna get the fuck out if that happens.
Hamid, where would you put Mikey if he come in and beat Spence?
Well, if he beats Spence, he's pound for pound number 1 as a welterweight. You'd have to put him at worst case number 2 because he'll have a better win than I think majority of the welterweights. The only guy you'll have better with is Pacquiao, but I don't think it's enough to put him number 1 as a welterweight. That's still one fight.
I got real quick, blow place. It would kind of. I know I don't want to complicate the sport, but it would kind of matter how decisively he won. You know what I mean? Like if he just washes Spence and beats him up, you know what I mean, like 12-0. Well,
the question is, I'm gonna say it don't even. If he get a clear victory, regardless if it's a 7-5, and we knew it's 7-5 one way. Even since he ain't supposed to win at all, I just give mine before I go to EJ. I gotta put him at number 1. He beat my number 1 guy. I would just have to say, boom, he's there. If he leaves, he'll leave the ranking, but definitely he would be pound for pound number 1 in the sport, likely, depending on what other people do. But for that division, he would be number 1. EJ, what would he take on your list? Your welterweight list?
I have to agree with you, man. Like, either number 1, number 2, shifting, but to beat Errol Spence, the man at either points or because he's moving up the weight class, and beat Errol Spence, who dealt with Kell Brook, messed up his orbital bones and whatever. Like, that's a massive win. Like, you can't but like not put him number 1 or number 2 depending on what the other fights are happening. But definitely, like that is a, if he goes in there and stops Errol Spence, the truth, the guy who beat down Broner, the guy who beat down Mayweather back when Mayweather came back, and like, come on, man, like you gotta give it to him. But that's just me anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
Who was that next? Hold on, let me look. Damn it, Dan, you there yet? All right, we still ain't got Dan. So
yeah,
see,
right. I'm here. What's
that? Who was your last guy in your ranking for welterweight?
Errol Spence. Errol Spence is my last ranking in welterweight. And you wanted to give me an explanation of my ranking? I'll go real quick with this. Number 1, Pacquiao, because obviously the strength of the resume is obviously you have to factor that, incorporate that factor. Then you have the fact that strength of schedule. And the reason why I'm going to bring this up because none of the welterweights are really being busy that much now these days. So Pacquiao, with his 2 comeback wins against Batista and Broner, I have to put him back up there. Then you have Thurman, who just came back. So that's the reason why, I put him back in the list because he's now active again. Then you have Crawford, number 3, given the fact that he just entered the welterweight division. He beat Jeff Horn, the same guy that beat Manny Pacquiao in an upset over in Australia. So you have to incorporate that factor. Number 4, Sean Porter, because of the fact that, yes, his resume is building up. But Porter hasn't been quite active, after the Garcia fight. So that's another thing. And number 5, Errol Spence, same thing. I mean, with the activity factor, because he only had 1 fight last year, and that's not going to cut it. So this can shuffle around once these guys start getting active with each other. So, that's my take on it.
And if same with Dan, sticking with Dan, if Mikey Garcia beats Errol Spence, What does he rate in your welterweight rank?
That's a good question. If he gets up there and pulls off the upset, because he is like the significant underdog here, if he pulls off the upset, I put him at they probably at I'll say number 5. Let me tell you why. Because yes, beating Errol Spence is great. In a way, is good and great in a way because you beat a bigger man who's considered very dangerous. But the fact is that Errol Spence's resume is not that. It doesn't have that much strength at welterweight right now. That's an honest fact. So you have to take those two factors in. So even if he beats him, he definitely goes number 5. Now, pound for pound, yeah, definitely he's going to move up in the rankings there. So that's just my spiel on that.
All right, C's. If Mikey Garcia get that victory, where he rated in welterweight?
I know we're speaking hypothetically, like, in theory. So if he wins, which we know he won't, he's going to get cut up. He's going to get chopped down. But with that said, if he does win, the real question is, this question could be reworded as, how high do you rank Errol Spence? Or how much do you value him as a welterweight so far? And I would say out of most of the welterweights, as far as the belt holders, like he's about as, besides Bud Crawford, because Bud Crawford hasn't been there no longer than just 1 year. Besides that, you can say that Errol Spence is the least accomplished overall as far as, just like a long, just like the people that he's fought compared to the rest of them. So because of that, I'm not going to let him crack the top 3, but I'll definitely let him crack the top 5.
All right, I would say
okay, but I would, however, rank. I know it's weird, but I would, however, rank him in the top 5 pound for pound list, if that makes sense, because of him going up and doing what he did and beating a belt holder, a guy who's much bigger than him, height, reach, and weight wise, who's going to rehydrate very big as well. So if Mikey Garcia can do that, I would crack him in the top 5 of the pound for pound. But I wouldn't exactly make him overall one of the top 3 best welterweights. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
I would put Mikey Garcia easily at number 1 if he beat my number 1 rated welterweight. It's like Drake said in that song to the rest of them guys that's been doing it. It's fuck you and your time difference. He did it right away. They didn't do it. It'll be a huge win for him. And then after that, the next question, Fing made a point. And I'm going to ask y'all on this. He said, so basically we're going to wait years before lineal champions at 147. It amazes me that Pacquiao doesn't even have a belt. And a lot of people put him number 1, 2, or 3. So is your rating, your personal rating, your 1 and 2, do you feel if your number 1 and your number 2 fought right now, they should be fighting for lineage? We're going to go down the panel with your number 1 and your number 2. Phil, who was your number 1 and number 2?
My number 1 was Manny Pacquiao, and my number 2 was Sean Porter.
Do you feel right now if they fight, that's deserving to crown the lineal champion of the division?
No, not the number 1 and number 2. No, I don't.
Whoa. So all right, Doc. You feel your 1 and 2 was Pacquiao, and who else?
Porter. Same as Phil.
All right,
well, okay. Now, be clear about. Are you asking me? Are you saying to me, okay, Doc, they're going to put this fight together and they're going to tell me it's for the lineage? Do I feel it's deserving, right? Or are you asking me about, like, by the rules, technically, what it's supposed to be?
Either way, you can answer either way.
Well, technically, by the rules, it would be because it's 1 versus 2. Whether it would be, I would be like, I would accept it, but I mean, it wouldn't be super. There'd still be arguments, I think, that would be interesting to me.
All right, EJ, I believe is next. EJ, your number 1 and your number 2 was
number 1. What we asking? Number 1, number 2. What we asking?
The welterweights. Your number 1, number 2 welterweights. Who were they?
Oh yeah. That's Manny Pacquiao, and it was Crawford.
All right. Do you feel that it's suitable to crown a lineal champion if they face them off versus each other right now?
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, Dan the man. Who was your number 1 and number 2?
Manny Pacquiao?
Hey, that's their. Hey, we got a panel. We'll get on it in a minute, Dan. Who was your 1 and 2? All right, don't think Dan there. C's, who was your number 1 and 2?
I think, for what it's worth, I think Dan had Porter and Pacquiao and Porter as well.
All right, who was your number 1 and 2?
Manny Pacquiao. Because y'all not see what's going on here. I had Bud Crawford number 1, and I had Keith Thurman, right? And I said they both were interchangeable, right?
So
Because Keith
you
Thurman
feel,
has the accomplishments at
so
147.
do you feel that's suitable right now to hold everybody else and let them two fight for lineage tomorrow?
I think yeah. I think because you got to realize, I mean, Keith Thurman, even though he unasked the WBA belt, I'm sorry, the WBC belt, even with that said, I mean, he still has victories over a current champion. And also, it was a consensus that we all had Danny Garcia in our top 6, right? Even though he wasn't in my top 5, Danny Garcia was my number 6. So Keith Thurman has a victory over Danny Garcia, and he also has a victory over another current champion. And I don't think really any of the other fighters have that. I don't think they can say that, can they? Of the other guys that we named, do they have 2 victories within that bunch? I don't think so. So yeah, Keith Thurman, right, and also have Bud Crawford, because Bud Crawford is pound for pound, is most people's list, pound for pound #1 best fighter in the world. So, and he's at this division, and he's currently a belt holder. So yes, I think so. And he just beat the guy that beat Manny Pacquiao, right? Who's in some of these guys' top 6 lists. So yeah, I think so. I think Keith Thurman was the consensus #1 guy at welterweight before he took his hiatus, and nobody beat him. So, you know, yeah.
I would say there's no way in hell Manny Pacquiao could be fighting for lineage at this point. So I mean, most people have Pacquiao 1 or somewhere. I think the ratings got rated on by a career accomplishments or something. But I feel like lineage can't be fought for in this division without Errol Spence, Sean Porter, and Keith Thurman. Now, without those, you know, they got to fight each other. My 1 and 2, I honestly feel like Sean Porter and Errol Spence have the right to #1 and 2 because of Thurman's layoff. I don't feel Crawford came in and did enough or beat anybody significant or even got in the ring with anybody significant enough to wipe out who these people have fought and what they've at least shown or done in the ring or who they've at least beat. So I would have to say I can't agree with nobody who said yes, that they should go for lineage.
But you kind of agree with me, Lo, because think about it like this.
I can't.
Look, if Bud beat Keith Thurman, you would say.
Can't.
But you said Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, or Errol
Spence. Yeah. But I got Keith Thurman at #3. Keith Thurman would have to. I really only believe Sean Porter and Errol Spence would need to get in the ring for lineage, and Keith Thurman would then, whoever win, maybe he would be the #1 guy that they should defend against, and then the other champions.
Now, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying, why Spence? Considering that, I mean, let's be honest here. If you want to compare him to Bud Crawford, they both have 1 title, and also, how many title defenses does Errol Spence has? He has 2. How many title defenses that Bud has? Bud has 1.
Spence is going on like 3 or 4. He going on
this is gonna be his 3rd versus Garcia, and this will be Bud's 2nd versus Amir Khan. Remember?
I'm just not basically rating it off for a title defense. I'm looking at, like I said, the quality of opponent in Kell Brook. I don't even think Bud has really faced a Lamont Peterson, to be honest with you, at the weight. Lamont Peterson gave Danny Garcia all he could handle. Maybe even Mikey Garcia could beat a Jeff Horn. Honestly, maybe.
You think Lamont Peterson could beat Jeff Horn and Jose Benavidez?
I think he'd be right there in that fight. I wouldn't go in and thinking neither one of them blow him out or he blow them out.
No, but would he win though? You think that he for sure will win?
I can't say for sure, but I can't say for sure for them either. I do know when he got in there with Danny Garcia, I thought he was the victor of that fight. A guy like Chris Algieri. Y'all gotta take it over. I got a phone call.
Yeah, it was exciting.
I think it goes to EJ next. I'm not sure.
I'm just saying, man. The hangout dragged out, man. It was exciting, man. Oh man, I missed the beef, man. Bring back. Wait, where's the fight doctor and Beats and McGregor? Let's bring it back, mate. Bring up the good old days. That was some good ass freaking. That was some good total action. This shit.
It was pretty rowdy.
Yo, this shit.
Okay, hey, look, man, Phil, brother, I'm gonna ask you a question. Look, I'm asking this to Doc as well. Doc's cool, man. Look, I'm asking it to everybody in the room. Are y'all okay with putting a 6'4", 225 pound, 78-inch reach guy in a pound for pound list? Are y'all cool with that? Knowing that the pound for pound that was created to give limelight to the non-heavyweights. You want to put in a heavyweight as your pound for pound?
Who's the heavyweight? Who's the heavyweight?
Usyk.
He's a cruiserweight.
Dude, he's okay. So in order for him to make, hold on, EJ, wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
So in order for him to make 200, that's the cruiserweight limit, right? So in order for him to make the 200, so he has to lose weight to make 200, right? So yeah, so he's a heavyweight. He's over 200 pounds.
But he fights a cruiserweight.
So,
that's what he fights.
Okay, so he fights right. Okay. So what's the difference between Deontay Wilder? Hold up. What's the difference between Deontay Wilder and Usyk as far as weight goes? Would you say that Deontay Wilder is terribly bigger than Usyk? Or you can make it up like in his last fight. Was
skillful? Is he skillful?
What I'm skillful. Tyson Fury's skillful. He's also over 200, and he's also over 200 pounds.
Usyk's skillful.
So you're gonna put Fury in there too because Fury's skillful?
I'm just trying to make you understand something. Yeah, pound for pound.
He's a big man. He's a big man.
You're gonna let me answer today. So it's the pound for pound is the most skillful guy in the sport. Yeah. And like you said, yeah, is to give attention to the lower weight divisions. Now, I'm trying to say to you, I didn't put him in there, but I'm just telling you why someone would, because he's very skillful, and all the opposition he's been against, yeah, he makes him look subpar. I can see why people put him in. I'm not gonna. In this day and age, people like the people who control the narrative of who shouldn't go in. That's gone. Because the Rim magazine had Vladimir Klitschko in the pound per pound, and I was like, "Why is he in the pound per pound for?"
Yeah, well, I don't agree with that.
I'm trying to tell you. So Vladimir was in there, and he was in there for years. He was in there for years. Lennox Lewis was in it. Lennox Lewis in the top 5 for years. So
my question is,
Usyk. Why am I going to ask you if someone put him in there? They put him in there. I don't really care. Like Crawford, to me, all I care about is the top 3, and that's Crawford. Who else? Crawford.
But would you put him number 1? Because earlier they were talking about placing him number 1 as the number 1.
They want to put him number 1. If they can put him number 1.
But do you agree with that?
I got my own number 1. This is my number.
And it's not Usyk. Okay, that's what I'm asking you. I'm asking do you think Usyk's number 1? That's what I'm asking you.
You're asking Usyk the pound for pound number 1 in the sport. Is that what you're asking me? No, he's not. In my opinion, no, he's not.
Oh, so for my answer to your question, Lant, is this right here. I am a firm believer in not putting bigger guys in my pound for pound list. Okay. Now, I will say this right here. If Usyk stayed at cruiserweight, I don't see anybody making an argument of putting him in the pound for pound list. Not number 1, though. But now that he's campaigning at heavyweight, to me, that automatically eliminates you from my personal pound for pound list, because my list is smaller weight classes, guys with skills that could fight up to skill for skill guys that are in heavyweight. That's what my pound for pound list consists of.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. I look at it like that as well, man.
Most people do that. So if someone put them, I'm not gonna kill them. Like they don't put me. Like they put them argument. Like you just listen to what their opinion is, and that's it. It doesn't change anything, because the Rim magazine they got like number 1. They had Golovkin pound for pound, and people was like, whoa. Then they had Chocolito number 1. It was like, whoa. So you know what I mean? So it's like, if you disagree, that's why like with the YouTube community or the YouTube channels, they can have their opinion, and that's it, man. I'm not really trying to.
So cruiserweight. So cruiserweights are exempt from being on the pound for pound list.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I said was this right here.
I'm asking specifically what he said.
Look, this is my opinion, dog. This is my dog. And you know
I know. I'm not saying you're not allowed. I'm just making sure I'm clear as to what it is.
Yeah. I think they're too fucking big. He's big.
Okay, so to be fair, so hang on. So for example, you're saying.
But can I say something? What I'm saying is because he's a cruiserweight, but because he's a cruiserweight, I can see him breaking. I can understand if you want to put him in the bottom half of the pound for pound, but it's disrespectful to put him at number 1. Like that's an agenda. You have an agenda going. If you about to
why? It depends.
That's a whole other discussion.
Guy with a 78-inch reach.
Nah, but it's a cruiserweight.
That's a heavyweight. I'm giving you the dimensions of a heavyweight.
I understand. That's if you want to be go strictly by what heavyweight was when they made pound for pound. Yeah, he'd be a heavyweight.
Wait a minute. If people had Triple G as number 1, why can't Usyk be number 1? It depends. It's subjective.
That's a bit of a straw man.
That's a middleweight, man.
Here's the thing.
But in boxing.
So wait. But Cease, where would you at the time when Evander got done cleaning out cruiserweight, where would you have rated him pound for pound? Or would you have said he's a cruiserweight? You know what I mean?
Question. That's a very good question.
Yeah, you know what? And that's hard for me to answer. You know why? Because Evander Holyfield is my favorite.
The answer.
Look, Evander Holyfield is my favorite heavyweight.
He
Is my
should
favorite heavyweight
All
of the 90s.
I would say is
Of the
this:
90s.
for me
But what I'm
personally,
saying is, even with that said, I would be cool with him. I had him in like maybe the bottom half of the pound for pound. I'm saying I'm cool with that. But I wouldn't put him as number one when the pound for pound division was made. They put to cast more shine and put more shine on the non-heavyweights. That's what I'm saying. Like it just feels wrong to me.
It's subjective.
I see your point. I feel like, for me personally, it needs to be one or the other. Either the cruiserweights get to be included in the discussion, or we need to just exclude them and not, you know what I mean, make it this swirly, nebulous thing.
No,
but yo, Doc, you get what I'm saying, though, right? I'm saying you got a guy that's I hate to keep repeating his dimensions, but the guy is a heavyweight. I'm describing a heavyweight to you, a 6'4" guy with a reach.
What does he get when he competes at cruiserweight? I mean, Paul Williams Paul Williams was gigantic at welterweight, but
look at his frame. Look at him. He wasn't a big guy.
This guy is moving goalposts.
Paul Williams was 6'2". He was taller than Tommy
We're talking about heavyweights here. We're talking about heavyweights here. You can't compare Paul Williams. Paul Williams fought at 147.
Okay, let me be. The reason. Hang on. I get that. The reason I brought that up is because what it sounded like, I thought you were saying that Usyk's like.
I'm saying he's too big. I'm saying he's too big. I'm saying he's a big guy.
Are you saying? Hang on. Are you saying he's big because he's a cruiserweight, or are you saying he's too big of a cruiserweight?
No, what I'm saying is he's too big. He's basically. When I look at cruiserweight and heavyweight, I basically see the same thing. You're walking around,
Well, if you want to, so what I'm saying is this:
so you have to make.
If you choose to exclude
you're going
the
to
entire
rehydrate.
weight,
Look, you're
that's
going to
fine.
rehydrate to 220.
I understand.
225.
Yeah, they're heavyweights.
You're a
by
heavyweight.
the old standard.
Cruiserweights are heavyweights to me. Yeah. So wow, I'm not.
Ollie weighed in at like 215 in his prime, 212, 215. So I get what you're saying. So if you're saying, if your argument, listen, what I'm saying is, if your argument is you exclude the cruiserweights, I'm cool with that. I'm like, okay, that's fair. You're being fair. You know what I mean? You're either in or they're out.
But also what I'm saying is, I understand cracking them in the pound for pound list, but I'm not gonna put them at the very top. Like that.
Now Phil said something I gotta ask about. Okay, because this is an honest question. I'd never thought about this till I heard you say it, Phil. But you're saying you know he leaves the pound for pound because he moved up to cruiserweight, and I'm thinking to myself, we're punishing a guy that just in pound for pound terms, right? And we're just assuming that we're going to put him there. So bear with me, right?
So hold on now.
So assuming we we're going to include him in the discussion. Why are we penalizing guy on the pound for pound list for moving up in weight just because it's heavyweight?
No, listen to me. Hold on. Let me get your question.
I understand the rules. I'm just asking a question. It's like, hey, this is.
I'm trying to get a clear ask of what your question is, because you broke up a little bit.
Okay, I'm saying. It sounds like, and I'm saying all of us do this because the rules are, if you're heavyweight, you're not part of the heavyweight discussion or part of the pound for pound discussion, right?
Right, but what I'm saying is that far-fetched for me to think like that.
Hold on. Let me see what the doctor trying to ask you. Hold on. Ahmed, your phone is doing something.
We got some kind of buzz going on, man. Somebody's got a 60-cycle hum.
Ahmed, man.
It's not me. It's not me.
The beehive. Turn the beehive off. The beehive.
It's not me.
Exactly.
Okay. It's gone now. All right.
Still there. It's humming. Nah, it's gone. It's humming.
EJ's a hater.
Yeah, everyone's a hater, Hamid. Everyone's a hater.
What I'm saying is, if we're talking about a guy in a pound that's in the pound for pound discussion, like Usyk at the moment it is, okay, and you're saying, of course, we move us up to heavyweight, he gets removed from the pound for pound list. Isn't that kind of, in a way, punishing a pound for pound fighter for moving up in weight, which is what they're supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
No, so all right. So to answer that question right there, this is what I'm saying.
And I'm saying we all do this. We all do this because those are the rules.
And I'm gonna tell you. All right. So is it punishing him for the pound for pound list? No, it's not punishing him for the pound for pound list, because by normal normal guidelines of the pound for pound list for what I think is normal guidelines is that when you're a heavyweight, okay, you're not supposed to be in the pound for pound list. So are we
Exactly.
penalizing him?
Yes,
No,
yes,
hold
I
on.
agree. We all
Hold
agree.
on,
We
That's
hold
all
on,
agree
still
on that part.
debatable.
hold on. So are we penalizing if he moves up to heavyweight? No, of course not, because by most people's standard, heavyweights aren't in the pound for pound list. Now, I also mentioned that if you're going to keep him in the cruiserweight division, if somebody wants to make an argument to put him in the pound for pound, I can't dispute that. Okay. I understand why someone would do that because the pound for pound list to me was essentially somewhat created to compare those guys to bigger fighters, which are in some standards heavyweight fighters. You see what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
That's why
Heavyweights don't count. I understand that. What I'm saying
exactly.
is, I guess what I'm trying to say is the rule. The rule punishes cruiserweights for doing something that normally we reward pound for pound
No,
type
no, no,
fighters
no, no.
for,
I said
moving
no,
up.
no. I said clearly earlier. I said if you want to include cruiserweights in that, and I said even with Usyk, if you want to put him in the pound for pound list, if he campaigns at cruiserweight, I don't see a problem with that.
No,
But
no,
I
but
can't put
if he moves, but see what I'm saying. The rule is if he moves up to heavyweight, he no longer is included in the pound for pound discussion. I find that it's in a way though, it's you're punishing a pound for pound behavior. A pound for pound behavior is moving up in weight.
him. So, Mr. Doc, hold on.
The rule does. The rule does.
No, but this is my deal right here. You're something until you're not something anymore, right? So you're in the pound for pound as long as you meet the proper criteria. If you're not to the criteria,
Yes, the criteria is what I'm talking about. I'm saying the criteria, not us. The criteria punishes.
What kind of question? Roy Jones moved up to heavyweight. Why should you get punished for moving up to heavyweight? I mean, it's stupid. This is
But he
not
was no nobody punished Roy
It's
Jones
not
for moving
punishes
up.
the
Roy
wrong. Punishes
Jones
probably
was
the wrong
already a
rule.
pound for pound fighter, dude. Before he
Yes,
even
he
went
was
to
already. That's true.
Usyk is
you
already
can't.
a pound for pound fighter. I'm not saying he's number one.
He's a heavyweight. He has
He's
to
a
lose
top
weight to
10.
make 200. He has to lose weight to make
Top 10.
and you're gonna sit
Cleaned
there and
up.
try to compare it to
I never
he's a
compared.
heavyweight. He's a
I'm
heavyweight,
saying
man.
he's good. If
Okay,
Usyk
he's a
is already a
cruiserweight.
top
Fine, he's a
10,
cruiserweight. We still okay. All right,
but
man.
he's still moving up. You got guys that are number one like Triple G who have never moved up, and they could move up
That's not
to
what
a
we're
center.
arguing, dude. We're not. Well, that's
What I'm
not.
trying to say is move. I wasn't even addressing it. What I'm trying to say
I
is moving up is a
just found it
criteria.
interesting. I just found it to be an
That's one of the.
interesting catch-22 that the rules, are in a way, punish a pound for pound
You're
behavior.
meant to
What is
get. You're
typically a
meant to get.
pound for pound behavior.
If you move up, you're meant to get awarded for it.
Mr. Doc, what you're saying is pound for pound behavior is technically when a fighter moves up in weight or moves down in weight.
Generally, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Generally
Okay,
speaking,
so
moving up or moving down is viewed as and achieving is viewed as a pound for pound type
I
thing.
got that. Now, based on that theory, I can see somebody making an argument specifically for Usyk if that's what you want to use, the behavior aspect of it. But by the aspect of just the list in general, if you just say Usyk's the heavyweight, then guess what? He's not. But if somebody wants to say, well, based on his behavior and the manner in which he moved up, which is pound for pound behavior, then if somebody wants to make that argument, then I wouldn't spend too much time on debating that. But to me,
This is a stupid.
you know what I'm saying?
Well,
So,
I mean, look,
how's that pound
another,
for pound? How's that pound for pound? What did he do?
I
Did he drink a couple? Did he drink a cup
so,
of water? Did he drink a cup of water? Now all of a sudden he's a heavyweight.
Hang on.
You see what I'm saying? Cruiserweight's different than the rest. It's basically a heavyweight. It's the same thing. He gained 1 pound, so now he's a heavyweight. I mean, and so that's what he's jumping weight classes. He gained 1 fucking pound.
Hang on. Wilder talked about moving down to cruiserweight, and he probably could. He probably could make it. If he did that, hang on, let me finish. Would that not be pound for pound? Possibly, if he moved down in won titles.
So
this is what I'm saying. I'm gonna say this last thing, though, and I'm gonna let y'all do your thing, man.
No,
I don't rate big guys.
I don't rate the big. You don't count cruiserweights. I understand you don't. I'm asking everybody.
It's just 1 pound. It's not 7 pounds. It's just 1 pound. You gain 1 pound and now you're a heavyweight. Like, I don't think that's fair to the rest of the pump. Like, the pound for pound wasn't built for that shit, man.
No, look, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna be lenient on Usyk right now. The only reason why I'm being lenient on Usyk It's because Evander Holyfield is one of my favorite fighters of all time. One of my favorite fighters. And if somebody asked me, when Evander Holyfield moved up to heavyweight, they asked me if he's one of the pound for pound. Should he be in the pound for pound list? I would undoubtedly, without any hesitation, say yes. Period. That's why, okay, I will be lenient on.
How about this one?
In this case.
How about this one, Phil? What if someone said to you, "I think James Toney beating Evander Holyfield at heavyweight is a pound for pound achievement"?
Well, yeah, because he started off very low. He started off very low.
Moved up all the way from middleweight.
That's different from a guy weighing 200 and then gaining 1 pound.
But it's 1 pound. Yeah, but it's heavyweight.
But that's not the. What you're trying to do is you're trying to reach for straws and try to make it seem like.
No, I'm not.
That is insane.
Not reaching for anything. They're just honest questions. To suss out
would
what
they
we all
lead to
think
something?
here.
Doc, would they lead to something? Would you look? Do you not understand what I'm saying?
No. My point is, if you exclude heavyweights entirely, you've got to exclude James Toney's heavyweight wins.
How?
No.
Heavyweight is heavyweight. Heavyweight is heavyweight. If you're at heavyweight, you're a heavyweight.
No. See, that's the deal. That's the deal. Now,
you see what you're doing? You're mixing stuff around, dog. Like that's
not mixing anything. Just like I said, cruiserweights. If you're going to exclude cruiserweights, that's cool.
You comparing a guy that started off at 154, 160 and skyrocketed all the way.
I'm not saying
to
that.
heavyweight.
That's one of my favorite fighters. That's one of my favorite fighters. James Toney's the pound for pound king.
Yeah.
That's not debatable.
Right.
That's not debatable.
So what are you saying then? What are you saying? You're going to exclude the winner at heavyweight?
I like the point of Wilder. I don't
want to exclude anything. I think the pound for pound rules kind of punish cruiserweights to a degree, and you could argue, and they take away accomplishments like James Toney's wins at heavyweight. If you really want to be hardline about what the rules are,
how does that take away? Doc, how does that take away from James Toney's victory? How? Like what? Why? Because
you don't get to count it. If it's heavyweight, it's at heavyweight. That's no longer. He's no longer. Once he's fighting at heavyweight, he's no longer in the discussion.
I don't. Who is trying to rate heavyweight? Let me ask y'all. Who is trying to rate heavyweight?
Nobody in particular. I'm just asking hypothetical questions in a vacuum.
Hold up. Now, see, this is my problem with your question, Mr. Doc. Now, what you need to do is, if you're gonna bring up that point, you need to have some segregation in there. Okay. Now, when I say some segregation, you need to have two separate points. Okay?
I agree, man. I agree. Right.
I'm about to get some food.
Well, they were separate points. One was about cruiserweights. The other one was about heavyweight.
I got some good Mexican shrimp. Hold on, y'all. I got some good Mexican shrimp coming up in the house. Some chorizo, some steak, chicken, all that good coming up in the house with them onion seasoned on it. And we've been on this joker for let me see how long we've been on it, 3 hours, and that don't count what we did behind the scenes, because we went behind the scenes pretty damn long too. So we gave y'all about all we need to give y'all for the day in the chat. Appreciate everybody coming on. This shit was live. Everybody was respectful. Battle was apologizing and shit. I'm gonna give everybody a shout out that was on. If they got channels, y'all definitely, if you're not subscribed to them, go ahead and do that. Dwayne, let me go from the top. Who was here? McGregor was on here, so y'all get to McGregor. He changed his name to Unrivaled Boxing Talk. Unbiased Boxing Talk on here. The Fight Doctor was on here. Phil on here, still on here. Battle Hub was on here. Mr. Doc was on here. Boxing Beats and Rhymes was here. Who else there? We got Dan the Man that jumped on. EJ was on. EJ jumped on, still on. C's jumped on and still on. So we do. Doc jumped on and still on. So we went pretty hard today.
Yo, man, I appreciate that, man. Much respect to everybody in the chat. Much respect to the stream, But if y'all want to put a 6'4", 225 pound guy in the pound for pound list, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So look.
If you want to bypass the reason why
quick last words, man.
That's me. I was making the last point, Mr. Doc. if you're gonna put James Toney in there, you need to have some segregation in there. You need to make 2 separate points. Now, the first point is this right here. When you move up to heavyweight, does that disqualify you from the pound for pound list at that current moment? I would say
it was.
yes.
It was absolutely meant to be.
When that Mexican fool coming here, it's gonna disqualify all the ass for the pound valley. Nigga, hold. Look here. We gonna call it a day. Good show.
But when you talk about James Toney as a free fighter, then
he trying to compare James. He trying to check it out.
We gonna let y'all do it. Hey, we gonna let y'all do it offline. Hold on. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Fiend represented. Boss Man representing the AOBZ, the working man. If I missed you, Diabanuli was in here. McGregor got in there. Fred got in there with him. Jeff Boxing. A lot of y'all. I seen a lot of y'all in there. I appreciate y'all coming through, leaving the comments, asking questions. Neutral, natural. Hey, we gonna get out of here. Y'all hit the thumbs up button if you already haven't. Subscribed to the channel if you already hadn't. Subscribe to the panel's channels if you already hadn't. Hit the thumb up button. Hit the bell icon button. You can hit the thumb up too if you already hadn't. But hit the bell icon to get the notifications the next time we go live or the next time I upload content. Appreciate y'all for coming. Appreciate everybody on the panel. Until next time, ain't no place like low place, and we out.
Bomb Squad.
Oh, hell no. Ain't no place like low place. We out. Bye.